Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, race fans across the globe, and to everyone in the Naughty community. Welcome to week 2 of season 3 in the Naughty Racing League Saturday heats, where tonight we'll be featuring another 3 intense and exciting races covering both divisions A and B respectively. I am Flawed Genius Gaming, back again to take you through all the racing action so you don't miss a heartbeat. But I also have 2 well-known commentators that I'm sure are very much in the minds of many a driver and viewers in chat, assisting me throughout tonight. The first of which needs no introduction to this series. He is very much centre stage and the heart and soul to the Naughty League production. I am, of course, talking about Toon. Welcome and good afternoon. How are you, sir?
Oh, I am doing fantastic. Last night had nothing but twists and turns, unexpected victories, fantastic racing. I am, without a doubt, we are in for a repeat of that coming into this afternoon's heats.
100% agree with you. And also to have you, Toon. Sitting alongside us, I am delighted to introduce a commentator making his first appearance this season. He is very much a mainstay in this series, bringing his analytical approach to all things good and bad on the racetrack. His name, of course, is T-Case. Welcome, nice to meet you. Good afternoon, and how are you?
Wow, Flawed, what an introduction. Great to meet you too, sir, and to be alongside you. I am doing fantastic. So far, this season has been phenomenal. I'm happy to be back for my 3rd season and can't wait to see what today's races bring us.
Fantastic. Yes, before we get into tonight, we need to update you on the standings for both Saturday divisions from week 1. This is after a few altercations between some drivers, which were reviewed and assessed by the stewards, changing the order slightly. So starting off with Division B, Toon, take it away, please.
With pleasure. So in first place, we have Wicco with 24 points. Coming in quite close behind him is 54 Yzmawaz, also known as Shanzi moving forward. We have PHG Fenrir sitting in P3, Sakari Dagger sitting in P4. Rounding out our top 5, we have Throwback Cat, followed by Turtle Shell, Angry Fredbird, SVG Brigsby, Bandit, PHG Horn of Plenty rounding out our top 10. And then in P11, we have DVM 0X. Moving on over to Division A, it's looking like we have Slipstream up in P1 with Salamander very close in tow in P2. In P3, we have GLK Sneaky, followed by Chief Apollo 11 with Spawn rounding out our top 5. In P6, we have our returning champion, GSR I'm Mullet, followed by Jesser, MD Hop 2, MMR Moose 21. Rounding out our top 10 is Hitty, followed by Arrow, Shadow Chef, Island Grown 777, and a 2-way tie for P14 with VTX Scott and VTX Jake, rounding out the rest of our grid.
Thank you, Toon. So on to our first race of the evening, and we are at an icy haven in Canada ahead of our visit to Lake Louise Circuit. Now, the track length is 2.3 miles of pure snow and ice with 12 turns, and they will be driving the Tundra TRD Pro 2019 vehicle. This unit will be pulling along 379 brake horsepower to its 4 wheels, carrying a massive 5,633 pounds or 2.5 tons in weight along this slippy and hazardous layout. Luckily for the drivers, snow tyres will be fitted to aid the drivers somewhat. There will be a 5-minute qualifier ahead of a 15-lap race here at Lake Louise Long Circuit, where there'll be a rolling start with no fuel or tyre wear to be concerned of. Neither will there be damage, but the drivers will have to be very careful and wary of their positioning with one another on circuit, as well as keeping it away from the walls too. The stewards will be watching every move like a hawk to ensure the race is as fair as possible. So it's a straight up sprint from start to finish, and come to the checkered flag, we will see who is victorious and perhaps one step closer in qualifying for the semi-final phase. Toon, can you lead us on to the points allocation tables, please?
Gladly. So the points you see listed on screen for Division A are across both splits, with the fastest total time receiving 21 points, the second fastest receiving 20, and the third fastest overall will receive 18. These points are also 15% higher than they were in round 1, with additional bonuses to the split winner, the runner-up, third place for the split, with an additional bonus point for the recipient of the fastest lap in their respective splits. Moving on over to the driver lineup for Split 1, we can go and see that we have S7R Slipstream, GLK Sneaky, GSR I'm Mullet, MD Hop 2, Hitty, Aero US, Shadow Chef, and Island Grown 777. Now listed below their names is, of course, their social media presences on YouTube and Twitch, if applicable, so you can find them there, and they might even be streaming their driver cams for this. So be sure to take a look at your earliest convenience, but be sure to always stay tuned here to the Naughty Racing League channel to get the most up-to-date action, and you make sure you don't miss a beat.
Fantastic, Tone. Before we get into this 5-minute qualifying, I just need to ask, did any of you guys spy on some of the drivers here tonight in practice? Anyone that was looking particularly hot on track? And also another question, for me personally, I hate the snow. I completely detest snow rally driving. If I was faced with it and McNulty handed it to me, I would be up in arms and I would literally be starting a riot. But any experience on your behalf, Toon? And do you like snow racing?
Well, snow racing, I think I'm more of a observer. I like watching things go on with the snow. I love the snow in real life. Driving on it in game, though, not the biggest fan. Now, I have seen a few people hosting lobbies, and I took a look, and we're definitely in for some intense action. What about you, TK? Have you taken a look at any lobbies over the course of the week?
Yeah, I have, and I think one of the great things about the NRL is how much practice the drivers put into it. So I'm fully confident that all of the participants today are going to do well. They put in the time and effort to succeed, and they all want to win. So I think we're going to see some good competitive driving. And I like driving in the snow. It's a lot of fun. I'm not good at it, but I have fun doing it. So hopefully everybody enjoys themselves and they can get around cleanly.
Well, that's interesting thoughts there. Qualifying has just got underway now. The drivers should be able to get at least 2 chances for hot laps. They are currently on the outlap. We're actually looking aboard with GSR. I'm Mullet, part of the Grove Street racing team. He uses a Fanatec DD Pro with the manual transmission. And if you do want to find him on YouTube, it is at I'm Mullet 3. So it looks like I'm Mullet will be the first one to start the hot lap. Mullet, as we know from last week, was looking particularly tasty on track. Just wonder whether or not he is tasty on the snow. At the moment, I don't see any mistakes from him. But have you seen him on the snow track before too?
I have not. A lot of the Division A guys were kind of hush-hush, mom's the word kind of types with their qualifying, and I think they were just doing that to have a laugh at us in the commentary booth. But you know what? Fair play. Mullet is a very formidable opponent for everybody because he is coming back to defend his championship. So he's going to have a large target on his back, and just seeing what he did with the outlap, I think he's going to set a pretty formidable pace coming into this first split.
I agree too. And just watching him do that outlap and do the starting lap, notice how he uses the entire track. He's either on one side or the other. He's not driving down the middle. So he's figured out how to maximize speed going around Lake Louise.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. And I do remember catching word from Island, who was in the split, that the importance for this track is to get high up on those banks to carry as much momentum as possible, because one bad turn will cost you a significant amount of time. And you can kind of see with some of the drivers as they're driving along, those brakes are getting red hot as they're trying to slow down to make some of these corners. So that's just going to show how much effort everybody is putting into this qualifying session to give themselves a very nice position for the starting grid.
Indeed, yes, definitely, indeed. It is worth noting, though, that the walls can help you, and I know that the stewards are going to be watching the drivers like a hawk. As wow, Mullet there, it looked like he lost control of the car, went all types of sideways there, but actually that was a really good car control. That is kind of what you do need to do through these hairpins, is really throw the truck into the corner. Mullet is literally just about to come across the start-finish line. He sets a 1 minute 50.1 to start off proceedings, but GLK Sneaky already on pole position, making his mark there. 2.5 tenths up on Mullet, and actually very, very tight on the time between Mullet and MD Hop, with just 3/1000th between them.
Wow.
But we are... Yeah, very, very close in this early stage of qualifying. I do believe they'll be getting in maybe one more lap as we look on board with Island Grown. He will be setting his first of his hot laps. He is currently a free agent. But I'm sure he'll be snapped up soon. He is driving with a Logitech G29 using the manual transmission, and you can also find him on YouTube at Island Grown 777.
Now, speaking of the 3,000th gap between Mullet and MD Hop, I feel remiss if I didn't mention that P1 and 2 for Split 2 for Division A last night was literally separated by 1,000th of a second. It doesn't get more photo finish than that. That's pretty much a license plate cover away from having pole position. So if we're already seeing this in Split 1, then today's shaping up to be of the same caliber, if not a higher caliber, than the action we saw last night.
Right, so the drivers are on their final lap at the moment. So this is where this is the business end of qualifying. So we are about to see the drivers coming across the start-finish line now. Can there be an improvement? Yes, there is from Mullet. And Sneaky just gets in front of him as well. We're talking 24/1000th of a second separated Sneaky and Mullet. That is absolutely phenomenal. With MD Hop in P3, Island Grown P4, Hiddy in P5, and even between Hiddy and Arrow in P6, we're talking about a 10th there, and 17/1000th of a second between Arrow and Island Grown. If you do want to check out Arrow, he is also a free agent. He is on YouTube at Arrow GT7, and he is using a controller with manual gears. Interesting. But what a fantastic qualifying that was. And if that qualifying was anything to go by, I'm very, very excited for the race. Actually, Island Grown is still yet to set his second lap, but he runs out of time. And yes, unfortunately, we'll have to settle for P5. So let's have a look at the results from qualifying then. Just for classification there. So GLK Sneaky with the pole position time there, 1 minute 49.355. With Mullet as alluded to, 24 1,000th of a second down on Sneaky in P2. Then we got MD Hop, who is still only just over half a second off the top time in P3. And then we got Arrow in P4, who is, as I said, 17 1,000th of a second quicker than Island Grown, that starts in P5. And then Hiddy will be starting at the back of the grid. But I suspect it's going to be very close in this race, of course. What's your thoughts, guys? Toon?
Honestly, I couldn't agree more with how much back and forth there was between Sneaky and Mullet for fastest lap. First it was Mullet, then it was Sneaky, and then MD Hop threw his hat into the ring, and then Mullet comes back to take P1, but Sneaky thinks, that's cute. I'm Canadian, this is the snow, this is my element, and just goes and takes pole away from him yet again. I think we're going to be seeing a lot of intense battling moving forward. What about you, TKs?
Oh, absolutely. And I'm going to be curious, is it going to split into two 3-on-3 races, with the front three being so close together in times and the back three being right on top of each other in times? Or is the way this track's set up where you really can't pull away very quickly, are they all going to stay clustered together and maybe one of these guys in the back can make their way up into the front?
Yes, it's definitely going to be very interesting as the drivers await the countdown to start the race. Of course, it is going to be a rolling start, so they're going to be in single file. And I'm very interested to see how the cars get on in turn one, because, of course, we start off with the 180-degree turn. That is where the drivers really can, thrust the car around the corner. So away we go, and of course drivers getting away nicely as Sneak is the first one to go into this turn now. Look at that, that is a beautiful shot as he just slightly clips the wall on the outside there. That will give Mullet a little bit of a chance to start closing in on him as we approach this sort of S-bends through Lake Louise at the moment. But yeah, so far so good from the front two, and actually have already pulled a 1.5 second gap to MD Hop in P3. That looks like he's embroiled in a bit of a battle there, as we see Sneaky and Mullet almost side by side there going into the turn there. Sneaky just being in front of him, oh my god, just sweeps in front, but then Mullet down the inside. Can he make it stick? Not quite. Gives the space to Sneaky on the outside. So Sneaky will just stay in front of Mullet for the time being. But I suspect this is going to be a bit of a yo-yo race. And as we see Mullet again attempt to go up the inside, but naturally the car just wants to sort of swing to the outside. And it looks like Sneaky will defend the lead from Mullet for the time being. But fantastic start to the race, guys. Toon, what are your thoughts?
Honestly, I couldn't agree more. Everybody got up into that bank for turn one to carry as much speed as humanly possible, and it really helped prevent the grid from fanning out too quickly. Island Grown had a bit of a moment where he was in P6, but quickly overtook and regained his P5 position. It's looking like he's slowly gained on Arrow right now, who's just ever so slightly pulling away as we end the first lap here. And there's 15 laps of this to come, so anything can happen, anything will happen. And as we take a look at Hiddy, he is part of Team Syndicate Racing on the manual gearbox, using the Fanatec CSL Elite DD+. Ooh, fancy. You can find him on YouTube at GT_racing_by_Hiddy.
That first lap was so good, and that shot we got, getting to see the whole pack fan out into turn one. There was about 3 different lines they took through there. So it's good to see these tracks where you can take, more than one line to get through a corner. It makes for some great racing, and the control these guys have over these huge trucks that are so different from what we're used to driving. The way they're able to not make contact as they swing these big back ends around the turns is pretty incredible.
Oh, I agree. Oh, I got word from production. We have a $10 super chat from Mez Goes Outside. It says, for the commentary, Thank you so much, Mez. It's really good to see you.
Thank you, thank you.
And
Ooh,
yeah,
Island's
just
got
looking back on board, we was looking on board with the leaders, but there is a nice little battle between Arrow and Island Grown at the moment for the battle for P4. Arrow just holding off Island Grown for the time being, but as kind of responding to your comments, I don't think there is really a racing line, is there? We know that the outside line tends to be the quickest line, and every time I see that a driver leaves the door open, I get excited because I think that the drivers will sneak up the inside, but of course that doesn't really work around here. So it's almost like you have to think in reverse for this snow circuit.
Absolutely, and we just had a lead change up front. I'm Mullet taking over Sneaky.
And MD Hob actually overtook Sneaky as well.
Word is we're going to get a replay on the top two as Mullet has just snuck in front of Sneaky. It looks like we just missed it, but it must have been the turn before the straight there. It looked like Sneaky tried to go up the inside, but this was what I was trying to say earlier, is that the outside line is a lot quicker, and it seems like every time you go up the inside, it really just scrubs off the speed off the tundra there. So yeah, Sneaky unfortunately down into P3, and MD Hop actually took full advantage there, going around the outside of him. So big changes at the top of the grid at the moment, but Sneaky will come fighting back to live another day. So yeah, currently about 6.5 tenths off of MD Hop in P2, and looking to, I don't know if there really is a slipstream when it comes to these trucks, but certainly we'll be looking to apply the pressure on the American there, and maybe force a mistake from him. We will see, but we are very obviously early on into this race. We're on lap 3 of 15, so anything can happen, isn't that right, Tony?
Yes, sir. We're just 1/5 away in this race, and Island and Arrow having a dynamite shootout right now. Arrow has fallen back into P5. Looks like Island was able to get a better run through some of these corners, so we're definitely going to see battling all throughout this grid. They just have to be mindful in their battling not to let it compromise their time too much, lest they kind of battle themselves away from the podium.
Yep, you're exactly right on that. You lose so much time, especially around a track like this, where, as we were saying, taking that outside line, carrying as much speed as possible is what you have to do to get around here quickly. So once you start battling with somebody, you start losing that momentum, and the leaders can get away really quickly.
Yeah, that is a fantastic point there. So it's not as cut and dry as you think, trying to navigate around a circuit like this, and where we think that it's quite a wide circuit, actually, you know, to get the perfect line and the perfect speed, you really need to be on the outside. And only, you know, unfortunately, only one vehicle can fit on the outside without touching the wall there. So it is going to be pretty tricky for the drivers, and also as well, they will have to mind the wall as well. Obviously, we don't want to be accusing drivers of wall riding at all. And I know the stewards are you know, watching the drivers like a hawk as well, to make sure that no advantage can be taken from it. But yeah, we are on board with Arrow at the moment. P5, he is currently 1.5 seconds behind Island Grown at the moment. But let's have a look at the top of the grid and see how they're getting on, because Sneaky is just behind MD Hop in P2, and this is the pressure I was alluding to earlier. So MD Hop will be looking fiercely in his mirrors, and hopefully that does not distract him as we go into this turn 180-degree corner. And actually, MD Hop does fantastically well there, and actually pulls a little bit more of a gap. But it does seem like that Mullet is charging away with the race lead at the moment.
It does seem to be the case. It looks like Mullet's found his opportunity to get away as fast as possible. leaving MD Hop and Sneaky to deal with the battle for P2 by themselves, and he's taken himself at least out of the equation for the time being. And it seems Island is trying to catch up ever so slightly just so he can have a battle for the podium between MD Hop and Sneaky. Did I just hear the oof of contact?
You
It
sure
did sound
did.
like it, yeah, it did indeed. There was a little bit of a shunt there. I think Sneaky just backed off. We're going to have a look at the replay now. So they were kind of side by side, but Sneaky didn't really have the traction. It looked like MD Hop was sideways and trying to take the corner properly. Unfortunately for Sneaky, kind of had nowhere to go there, but you know, nothing came of it. MD Hop still is in P2 with Sneaky just behind, and I kind of feel like this is going to go right to the wire here. Sneaky, I know, is someone that doesn't give up, and obviously did fantastically well in the first race. So I know that he's been taught to never give up and keep fighting, and certainly that is the case here. And again, still just 6/10 behind MD Hop as he looks to close that gap by the time we get to turn 1.
That was some excellent sportsmanship by Sneaky too. He knew that the contact was his fault. He pulled off to the right. He let MD Hop take the position back, and then got right back on it to pursue for another overtake.
Could not agree more, TKs. And it seems MD Hop's bought himself a tiny bit of breathing room, but if last night's festivities are anything to go off of, that's going to change in the blink of an eye. And it seems Island is now getting his rhythm and is going to start making his sights on the podium in hopefully the near future. As we see, Arrow is also trying to play catch up to Island, as is Hitty to Arrow. So over in the back of the grid, everybody's just lining themselves up to go and get themselves a piece of the action up at the front that you guys are seeing. Ooh, that was a very nice overtake that we just saw too. They're neck and neck. It's giving shades of La Cabra and Blind Man.
And I've got to say as well, very beautiful to see two trucks drifting round the corner, you know, like synchronized drifting. And yeah, Sneaky tried to make it work, but of course he was on the inside, so unfortunately the exit of the corner there wasn't able to get the power down quick enough, and lost a lot of speed as he goes up the inside again, but unfortunately not quite making it work. It is similar story, unfortunately, for Sneaky, and this must be very, very frustrating for him, because he perhaps feels that maybe he should have made the opportunity work maybe a couple of laps ago, but unfortunately just cannot get past MD Hop, who is not doing anything wrong at this stage, and you know, good for his P2 at the moment as we go into turn 1 now. And well, we'll see it here. Sneaky again trying to sort of turn the vehicle in early, but actually loses quite a bit of speed on the exit, and that is where MD Hop is able to start pulling away. So you know, it's all for Sneaky to do from P3, but as I said, I'm sure he will not give up. But we do need to have a look at Mullet as well, who has developed a massive lead. 6.5 seconds now. That is a lot on this type of circuit as we are approaching the halfway mark. So far so good from Mullet, being very, very consistent when you look at the lap delta there. The last 5 laps in the 1 minute 49s, also currently holds the fastest lap time with the 1 minute 49.306. So yeah, definitely so far so good for Mullet. As we already know as well, guys, there are no tyre wear, no fuel, so the car should feel balanced throughout the whole race. It is almost like doing a 15-lap time trial, and try to keep it as consistent as possible. But yes, 7 seconds is the lead now, and expanding as well. So yeah, a lot to do for MD Hop and Sneaky if they've got any chance to get the race victory today.
Oh, I couldn't agree more.
If Sneaky wants to get an overtake done, he's going to have to be patient and carry the speed through turn 1, and then try to make an overtake happen through the twisties, because he's faster in the tighter sections, but he can't get past. And I think if he can be patient and carry his speed, he might be able to make an overtake later on the track.
Absolutely. And I'm seeing what Mullet's doing. He's holding good pace. He's carrying a lot of momentum. I'm also seeing that towards the back of the grid, Island has given himself more breathing room from Arrow, and Arrow has done the same for Hitty. So it's definitely showing that momentum is the name of the game for this race. What are your thoughts on this, Flawed?
Yes, 100% agree. And just looking aboard with Sneaky now, because Sneaky has got that outside line. But then as MD Hop goes wide, there's Sneaky up the inside. He does make it work that time. Sweeps down the inside. He's going to be on the outside, which is the faster line. And for once, Sneaky has made that work and up into P2. What a move from Sneaky.
Great move from Sneaky.
Fantastic.
That's what I was talking about. He was patient going into turn one. He carried all that speed and momentum out, and then picked the right opportunity to strike going through the tight section. So that good on him, and we'll see if he can take that qualifying time he put down and start catching up to Mullet.
Only time will tell, and it's showing that this is going to be a very unpredictable race. Anything can happen. This is only our first split for the Division A heats this afternoon. So I think this might set the pace for split 2 come later on the broadcast.
Indeed, yeah. I think split 2 definitely will be watching with a close eye on this race to see where they can grab the advantages and the most speed with this truck as we are on board with MD Hop. Oh my God, got very close to Sneaky on the exit there. I suspect that MD Hop it isn't done here yet, and Sneaky is going to have to be aware and not make any mistakes if he wants to hold on to that P2. But certainly with 6 laps to go, this race is not done.
Oh no, it's far from done, but Mullet is just pulling away further and further, almost up to 11 seconds ahead of P2. These guys are going to have to start cooperating in some regards if they want to play catch-up. And looking at everybody's pacing, it's looking
there was
like,
a little bit of contact.
Yeah, there was. That was a little bit of argy-bargy, but I think that's just the nature of loose surface racing. And they're going too wide into that, with Island very close behind now. And Island's going to prove my point because everybody's...
MD Hop just got in front of Sneaky. Sorry to interrupt you there too. From the contact, it looked like it pushed Sneaky a little bit wide into that turn, which of course there is a couple of corners together, and it kind of wrecked Sneaky's line into the next turn, and MD Hop was able to take an advantage there. So it may be a steward's inquiry into that. I'm not 100% sure. But yeah, Sneaky down into P3 because of it, and MD Hop looking to try and escape his clutches. And as you mentioned, Toon, Island Grown starting to come back into the picture with all the battling between P2 and 3. All of a sudden, you can see Island Grown now just 2.5 seconds behind, and if they keep battling, maybe it could be a 3-way battle between P2, 3 and 4.
It could be, honestly. Looking at the pacing here as I'm cycling through all the drivers, it's showing that Island does have the pace, and he's starting to play catch-up. So what are your thoughts, TKs?
Well, I want to go back to earlier in the race when Sneaky made contact with MD Hop at that same corner and slowed down and let MD Hop go ahead, whereas we just saw reverse contact and MD Hop just kept going. So I am curious to see what the stewards think on that. And with the two of them battling as tightly as they are, Island with the pace he's got, it's going to be a great finish here, the battle for second.
Indeed.
Oh, agreed.
And you can see visibly as well the gap coming down as well, isn't it? Island Grown now down to 2 seconds behind Sneaky, and we've still got 5 laps to go as well. So yeah, I do believe that Island Grown is growing in confidence, no pun intended, and yeah, certainly getting closer and closer to the back of Sneaky. Sneaky looks to go for an opportunity there. MD Hop goes on the outside. Sneaky on the inside. It's not going to quite work on that banked corner. But certainly MD Hop will know that Sneaky is big in his mirrors, as Sneaky turns it very early, and I mean, yeah, look, they are as close as they can be as we go down the straight to end lap 10 and on to lap 11. Sneaky actually flashing his lights at MD Hop as well, perhaps a little bit disgusted on the previous laps events. And there is Sneaky on the outside. Ooh. Just clatters the wall there, goes up the inside though, it looks like he slingshots it past MD Hop and into P2. But
wow.
There might be a little bit of controversy when it comes to that, because the wall actually helped him out there, didn't it? I'm sure he probably didn't mean to actually hit the wall, but it did seem like it aided Sneaky on the exit there. So it certainly fine margins in this race, but yeah, Sneaky down into P3 again, with MD Hop back up into P2. And as I said, with all this battling, there is Island Grown in P4. That gap is now down to 1.5 seconds. And we could have a very, very exciting ending for the battle for P2.
Oh, without a doubt. And yeah, they're battling the way Sneaky took turn 1. I don't think it was an intentional slap into the wall. I think he just carried too much momentum going into it, and the wall just gave him the opportunity to get the right amount of momentum. So yeah, this is going to turn into a pretty intense battle for the podium, probably over the next lap or two. Ooh.
Space was not given on the outside. There's some contact there going into that turn.
Let's
definitely want to see a replay of that. So Sneaky's gonna try to go around on the outside here, and we're gonna see MD Hop just run him way out wide into the barrier.
Oh yeah, that's a bit hard.
Yeah, I mean, do you think that was too much defending there? It seemed like he really squeezed him onto the wall and gave him absolutely no space, which of course then would have scrubbed off the speed off Sneaky's vehicle. So yeah,
it's hard to say, because Sneaky wasn't all the way alongside of him either. He just had his nose just kind of up by MD Hop's rear wheel. So I don't know if Sneaky was entitled to that space. And I also, they're sliding around out here. They're just dancing on the ice. So it is hard to gauge, an inch over a foot on the outside when they're not even completely alongside you.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely very difficult to call, because this is not a normal race circuit, is it? We're talking about rallying on a snow surface, so drivers can't be as precise on their inputs, and yeah, it is, as I say, is perhaps this is why I'm a commentator and not a steward, and that's why the stewards are in place to make the correct decisions. But yeah, certainly we're in for a great battle here, as now Island Grown has caught up to the back of Sneaky. So Sneaky will be aware of this, and not only is he on the offensive to try to beat MD Hop, but he's also going to have to be a little bit defensive as well, because if any mistakes are made or any contact is made with Sneaky and MD Hop, then Island Grown could be there to snatch that P2 away from him. So yeah, certainly a interesting battle, and yeah, we're going to find out who comes out on top in the final 2.5 laps here, guys.
Oh yeah, and it seems they were all trying to focus on gaining some momentum into turn 1. Looks like nobody really had an advantage to speak of, and it's looking pretty single file while everybody's trying to take their best line, maybe hope one of the other competitors has a mistake, so there's a door open to make a jump through. Ooh, there was some good side-by-side between MD Hop and Sneaky coming in here. Seems some are out further than others, but it doesn't look like anybody's really going to capitalize on it. Sneaky was able to take P2 for a moment and then get up high on the outside line to carry some more momentum. Stumbling over words here. And as was Island, so he's able to close that gap even further to MD Hop. He is now within half a second. So over the next 2.5 laps,
Sneaky actually got the overtake done there. He actually squeezed his way through and then took the outside high line, which gave him the momentum to pull away. So actually Sneaky up into P2. It was a fantastic move there. And MD Hop now has got to be wary of Island Grown as we see that beautiful screenshot there of the two trucks going sideways. Fantastic to see, I have to say. But Island Grown must be smelling the fear of MD Hop, because certainly the gap now is down to about 6.5 tenths as we go on to the penultimate lap of the race, and anything can happen, isn't that right too?
Oh, absolutely. And TK, so did you expect this to turn into a three-way shootout for a podium?
No, I didn't. I kind of was more on the lines that the two groups were going to split up, and it was going to be, the top three battling for first and the bottom three battling for fourth. But now that we've got Mullet, streets ahead up there, and then Island Grown catching up, I think this battle for P2 and P3 is really, really exciting. Can't wait to see what the next race shows us with that group.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, this is the danger of racing on a circuit like this. The drivers can get spread apart. Luckily, we have got a battle for P2 at the moment. Sneaky extending his advantage for the time being, but MD Hop looking to do something about this, as at one stage it looked like the gap was closing, and it might still be actually. Sneaky, Sneaky's automatic, isn't he, guys?
He is.
So that may be an issue for the automatic drivers. As you said yesterday in the Fisherman's Ranch race, people on the automatic having to use the handbrake to actually slow the car down and pull it down a gear. Is he on manual? Okay, so the slight misinformation with the graphics there where it says automatic, so my apologies. He is actually on a manual gearbox. It is all or nothing on this final lap, I have to say. We have got Mullet in the lead, and quite healthily. We're looking at about 16 seconds the lead over Sneaky, but Sneaky in pole position to grab second position, and MD Hop going a little bit wide and hitting the wall, which lost him a bit of speed. And there's Island Grown on the outside of MD Hop, and actually you might say that Island Grown in prime position to take that position away from MD Hop. We'll see as we go into this turn now. MD Hop on the inside and actually just holding off Island Grown. Oh, a little bit of contact as well. A little bit of contact between MD Hop and Island Grown. MD Hop managing to get out the exit just in front of Island Grown. It does look like Sneaky has pulled away from this battle. Island Grown is going to be fighting tooth and nail to grab this last podium spot away from MD Hop. Can MD can MD Hop find himself on the final podium spot? But we do need to cut to the race leader, because GSR I'm Mullet just about to come across the checkered line to claim the victory here at Lake Louise Long Circuit with GLK Sneaky. Looks like he's got that P2 cemented with MD Hop 2 seconds adrift of him in P3. So can GLK? Yes, he can. P2 for here. MD Hop P3 ahead of Island Grown. But what a fantastic race between the top four. And then we've got a big gap to Arrow in P5 and an even bigger gap to Hiddy in P6. But fantastic racing there, guys.
Oh yeah, that was full of suspense, and it looks like Arrow's about to do a little showmanship to cross the line. And he nails it.
Very nice.
10 out of 10.
MD Hop put their truck in the perfect spot. Island had the momentum going into that tight section and would have had a run out, but MD Hop was right in front of them, and there was nowhere for Island to go to carry that momentum. So Island carried it right into the back of MD Hop, which is where we got the contact. But great truck control by MD Hop to place it right on the apex so that Island couldn't get around.
And Hiddy just coming across the start-finish line to finish off the race with a nice little drift at the end there. But congratulations to GSR I'm Mullet for the race victory. Well deserved for him. And let's just have a look at the classified race results pending any investigations. So finishing as winner is GSR I'm Mullet, also with the fastest time of the race, 1 minute 49.153. Then GLK Sneaky just about fends off MD Hop to finish in P2, with MD Hop finishing as the last step on the podium ahead of Island Grown, who finished just a second off of him. Then Arrow finishes in P5 with Hiddy claiming P6. But yeah, fantastic race there, guys. I wasn't expecting that at all. And to be honest, like some good, for the most part anyway, some good driving standards there. It, showed off some excellent racing, particularly between Sneaky, MD Hop and Island Grain.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. And in just 1 second, we will move on over to our interviews with our podium finishers. And I think we are going to start with the one, the only MD Hop, who took a glorious and very hard-fought P3. MD Hop, how are you feeling after such an intense battle pretty much all race?
I don't really know what to say, honestly. I was cutting 151s, 152s in practice the entire week, and then I show up and cut a 149 to get in P3. I was just kind of happy to be there, and I gotta say it was definitely. I racing VR, so I was constantly looking at my side mirrors the entire race and literally turning behind me and looking out the back windscreen the entire time. So it definitely was fun.
Glad to hear it. Flood, do you have any questions for our podium finisher?
I do indeed. MD Hop, welcome and congratulations on P3. I have to ask you. So I've never really been good in the snow, and I did notice during that race that you almost have to drive the opposite to how you would drive on a proper circuit. Did you find it difficult to sort of navigate around the snow circuit there? Because as I said, as mentioned at the start of the broadcast, that the outside line tends to be the fastest line. So did you find that quite weird to try and hold off at one stage? What's the GSR? Oh God, I've forgotten his name. Sneaky, yeah. Sneaky, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So it was definitely a bit of a merger on both, where it's like, how I like to do it is I like to divide the track into sectors, and I'll find out what's the fastest line for me. So sometimes it really depended on the inside versus the outside, and it kind of started to meld in between both, of quite literally finding the outside, finding that outside lane and taking that wider line. And I had to like almost force myself to like, nope, I got to stay outside. So I would say, yeah, it was kind of a struggle at first to kind of marry the opposite ideas, and to like, no, my brain's got to let the car float out a little bit wider, take that wider exit slowly, and then also a lot of pedaling. I noticed that really had to like, I really started to find that in qualifying, a lot of pedaling the throttle versus just slamming on it, downshifting and letting it bang off the rev limiter. There's a lot of back and forth trying to find the traction on the inside versus the outside.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, I mean, it looked a struggle out there, but you did fantastically well to finish on the podium in the end. TK, have you got any questions for MD Hop?
Yeah, I do. Interesting that you are using VR. We all know that GT7 is incredible in VR.
Mhm.
Do you have the radar turned on while you're doing that, or do you have all the menus and stuff closed to where you're getting that full immersive experience?
Yeah, so normally when I'm doing dailies or anything like that, I have everything turned off. Like I'll have it turned. I'll have the inside displays turned on so I can adjust my brake balance and TCS right before
Mm-hmm.
the race starts, and then I'll go back and turn it all off. But for this, I
Interesting.
leave everything on just so I don't miss a yellow flag
Mm.
or anything anything that the game's trying to tell me what's going on, just so that there's no misinterpretation. So for right now, I am running with everything on, but normally I do prefer to have everything off. It's actually quite a distractor, if I'm being honest.
I believe it. It sounds like it would be one. And so I'm curious, how are the blind spots in a truck that large if you're
Oh
trying
my
to
God,
look
they're
in your
insane.
mirrors and you said you were turning around backwards to look out the back window. It must have been a real challenge while you and Sneaky battled it out there to try to figure out where he was.
Oh my God, yeah. So the entire time I had my camera up on my stream. I'm sure you could see I'm literally jumping out of my chair to turn around and look and see where he's at.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Well, congratulations on P3, man. Good job.
Thank you.
Yes, yes. Congratulations indeed. You go rest, relax, and get ready for the next set of challenges you guys will have to face after it's revealed later on in the broadcast.
Alrighty, yeah, thanks again. Like I said, I have no idea how I got here, and I'm just glad that it all turned out.
Glad to hear it. Be good, man.
All right, take care.
Moving on over to the other half of the very heated battle we saw. Our second place finisher for this afternoon's first split, Hawko Racing Academy's own GLK Sneaky. Sneaky, how you feeling, buddy?
Feeling good.
Glad to hear it. So, what were some of the key points you wanted to focus on after you saw that you were going to be in quite the intense battle for P2?
Really, I just tried working on keeping my composure and like how just not getting too aggressive where I'm making stupid dive bombs that could wreck not only my race but other people's races.
And it looks like it definitely paid off for you, Flood. Oh, TKs?
Yeah.
Uh,
You were saying, trying to just keep your pace and do your move. When we were watching kind of early on, it looked like you were trying to maybe try to take a low line into turn one. When did you start to realize that just wasn't going to work? And was it difficult as you followed so closely behind going into that turn to not go for that inside line?
Well, I think I was really kicking myself because I tried passing Mullet going down the inside and I really lost another position doing that, and that really like created a domino effect where I was just in this fight for the whole race. So, I mean, I tried it once or twice to see if that it would change the result, but it didn't really work. So I really just worked on having good exits out of corners. That way I can be alongside and hopefully take the outside line.
Very
uh,
nice, very nice. Yeah, we definitely saw that, and it worked. You were able to get back up into P2. So doing that strategy ended up paying off as you adapted and adjusted in a very tight race. And congratulations on P2, man.
Thanks.
yeah, I was just going to add to that, Sneaky, that how frustrated you were, being stuck behind MD Hop there, because for quite a few laps, it looked like he was trying to sort of take the inside line, and then it didn't quite work for you, and then you had to sort of stay behind and then look for the next opportunity that might not have quite worked out. But obviously, eventually, you did actually get through. But how frustrating was them few laps there for you?
I mean, it was more frustrating, like looking at my times, because I could look at my times and I would see like where I was fighting him and where I was not. Because when I was fighting him, I was in the 40 or the 51s, and then when I like either fell back so far that I clean air, that like my times went back into the 49s. So I knew that I had pace, and I just tried keeping my head level and knowing that like at some point I'm going to be able to have an opportunity to pass them, and I did eventually. It was a little later in the race than I wanted, but it worked out, I guess.
Yes, it certainly did. It did feel like you was, patient enough. You kept level-headed, and when the opportunity finally arose, you actually made it work. I know you came fighting back, and then you had to sort of do it all over again. But you held your own. You grabbed P2. Congratulations on that. Well deserved. Must be a relieved man now.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, congratulations indeed. You go celebrate, enjoy yourself some R&R, and we can't wait to see what you do next week, and I'm sure you'll be hard at work practicing for next week's festivities after they're announced later on in the show. Thank you for your time, Sneaky.
Awesome. Thanks.
Now time to move on over to the winner of Split 1, GSR's own I'm Mullet. Let's get a big Omaha in chat for our race victor, Omaha Mullet.
Omaha, what's going on, chat? What's going on, guys?
Not much. That was a very dominant showing. Once you got ahead of the pack with Sneaky and MD Hop, you kind of just ran away, had just about a 17-second lead at one point. And I know you were also helping your teammate in Le Cabra with getting his division race set for yesterday. So between helping Le Cabra and having to focus on your own, how much time did you actually get in for the practice for this race?
Well, see, this is the first time I've ever done like rally ever. So I put a lot of practice, especially early on, trying to figure out how to drive the track fast. And really, I want to say I think I averaged about 80 to 100 laps per day, except for the last day. I took it a little easy yesterday.
Well, it looks like all that hard work certainly paid off, and you definitely deserved an easy day leading up to this. That was absolutely impressive. Flood, any questions?
Yes, Mullet, congratulations on the race win.
Thank you.
I don't know what to ask you really. I mean, it just seemed so easy for you there. Obviously, now you just said about how much practice you put into it. So, was you like confident going into this race that it was going to be a nice, easy win for you?
I don't know. I was like half and half because I just know that when you're trying something new, and I like to practice like by myself, so I just gauge like what I do and just improve on that. Like I couldn't say I was overly confident for this race, but more or less just skeptical and just hoping that I could just put it together.
Yeah, I mean the game plan definitely worked for you. It seemed like as soon as you got into the lead, you never looked back, and maybe fortunate for you that there was a few battles behind that obviously made it even more comfortable for you. So congratulations on that. TK, have you got any questions?
Yeah, I sure do. Congratulations, Mullet, man. That was awesome, and clearly all that practice paid off. It's like basketball players shooting free throws over and over again. You get to the point where you just get in your groove and you go, and it's really hard to carry a lead for an entire race like that. I'm sure you were nervous. How nervous were you to not make a mistake, or because of all your practice, did you feel confident that you could just put in that lap time after lap time?
I never really worry about making any mistakes. Just it's just always about like keeping keeping a level head, as Sneaky was saying, and just keep pushing forward. I don't think at any point was I like overly nervous. I do get a little bit of jitters at the start, but I think that's normal, and we're
Hmm.
having some fun, and I just love that feeling in general. So other than that, like I don't think I was really nervous.
Okay, cool. And you said you like to practice by yourself. Were you surprised at how tight the top three were in qualifying?
Absolutely not. Sneaky is sneakily pretty quick, and he's a young guy, and I knew that. I actually thought that it was going to come down to me and him for the race, but I definitely didn't think it was too surprising to see how tight we were for qualifying. Congrats to Sneaky, by the way, for the pull.
Awesome, awesome. Well, congrats to you for the win. Well done, sir.
Thanks.
Yes, congratulations indeed. You go celebrate a well-deserved victory, and we will see you next week for some more racing action.
All right, thanks, guys. Omaha.
Omaha!
Omaha.
And if you will all please stay tuned, we are going to take a brief intermission and we will come back at you with some more racing action as we get our Division B race underway. We'll be right back at you here in a few minutes. Welcome back, everyone, and what a fantastic race we just endured. Hopefully you're fueled up and got the popcorn at the ready, because if that was anything to go by, then we have a very exciting night of racing ahead, as we will be showcasing Division B in all its glory. Let's take a look at the race details for this heat.
Right, to the second race of this evening. We are with the Division B drivers, and we are heading to the US in Georgia for the Michelin Raceway of Road Atlanta. Track length is 2.5 miles and officially 11 turns, and they will be driving the BAC Mono 2016 car. This lightweight and small chassis will pull a massive 304 brake horsepower to its rear wheels, and with just 1,279 pounds or 580 kilos in weight, this car will not only be agile and nimble, but feel particularly fast on a narrow and technical circuit like this one. There will be a 5-minute qualifying session ahead of a 15-lap race, with a grid start and the starting time set to be midnight. The cars will be fitted with only medium sports tyres with a ×50 tyre wear added to it. BOP will be enabled, but no tuning available for the drivers. Although pit stops are not mandatory, it is believed that the drivers will need to stop at least once during the race, as there is a fuel consumption rate of ×6, but the mechanical damage is set to light. Refueling, however, will be fast, as it's set to 10 litres a second. The drivers will certainly have a hard time taming this vehicle with the nature of its handling, especially as it's a night race and with a cold track temperature, and of course with less grippy tyres in the sport medium tyres. Corners that the drivers will need to be careful on is certainly turn 1, where the medium speed corner cambers away from the driver, sending the car wide with the grass awaiting them if they push too hard. Then you've got the blind uphill corner of turn 3, the S's, and the exit at turn 5 with a track limit penalty awaiting them should they run wide on the exit. Lastly, the chicane at the bottom of the hill for turn 10 can be hazardous with a sharp, heavy braking zone, and slippery curbs can send the car into a spin, and also not to mention a narrow and poorly positioned pit lane entrance and exit on turn 1. So not only will the drivers on track need the awareness of the drivers diving into the pits, but their entrance back on track with a 3-second penalty added to any driver abusing the pit lane lines. So there are many obstacles ahead for the drivers, and this should ensure a very exciting and drama-filled race in front of us all to witness, and I can't wait for this. Toon, can you enlighten us with the points allocation tables and the drivers participating in Division B tonight, please?
I sure can. So, as there is only one split for Division B, these points are just for this race for this day alone. So, the total fastest time for Saturday Division B will receive 21 points, with the second fastest receiving 20. Third fastest will receive 18, going down the list. And remember, these points are 15% higher than they were in round 1, and there are additional bonuses for the race winner, the runner-up, third place, and an additional bonus point for fastest lap. And speaking of this split, let's go and take a look at the driver lineup for this afternoon's Division B race. We have Wicco, we have 54 Yizmaz, Shanzi, we have PHG Fenrir, Sakari Dagger, Throwback Cat, Turtle Show, Angry Fredbird, SVG Brigsby, Bandit, PHG Horn of Plenty, and DVM0X. Listed under their names, of course, is their YouTube and Twitch information, should that be relevant to that driver in question. But all I can say with 100% certainty is this is going to be an absolutely amazing race, and it's going to be a tricky race for all of those that are on track for this one.
Yes, indeed, Toon. Yeah, I definitely think it will be entertaining, particularly in Division B. But gentlemen, I do need to ask what your predictions is going into this one. Any drivers that you may have seen in practice this week? Or what are your thoughts, Toon?
Well, I've seen a lot of the Division B lobbies for both Friday and Saturday. Over on the Saturday end of things, Wicco is a very fast driver. He's aiming for consistent 126s. Sakari Dagger's aiming for consistent 27s, just trying to stay like in the mix. I've seen times ranging from 26 all the way to the 29 range. So this could be anybody's race. How about you, TKs?
Well, I've been really impressed with PHG Finner, aka Viking, and he's been putting in a lot of work. He got a podium last week, and I'm really excited to see how he does on this. This is one of my favorite tracks of all time. I absolutely love this track. It offers so much, and in these cars, I think it's a great combo, and we're going to see some really exciting stuff.
Excellent to hear. And yeah, drivers just on the circuit now ahead of this 5-minute qualifying session. So it looks like it's Dagger will be the first one. No, maybe not actually, because he's got a 0.5 second penalty. So I'd imagine it is probably Shaunzy just behind him that will be the first one to do a hot lap, perhaps.
And taking a look over at Dagger with the half-second penalty, he was just signed to PHG very recently. So we have Sakari Dagger, now known as PHG Dagger, a part of Team Papa's House of Game, on the manual gearbox using the Fanatec DD Pro wheel.
Okay,
and we're going to keep an eye on him for a moment. Go ahead, Vlad.
Thank you. Yeah, we are going to remain on board with Dagger as he comes across the start-finish line to start a hot lap then. So let's have a look at his lines as we go into turn 1. And as I mentioned at the start of the production, the car naturally wants to understeer out wide. But keeps it on the black stuff for now, and the blind entry on the right. Oh, he gets it all sorts of wrong there as he goes wide onto the grass. So that will be either a lap invalidation or certainly not the ideal lap for him at the start of this qualifying. So we'll look on board instead with Shaunzy then, as he gets a good exit out of turn 5 there. So it's down the dip there, and then over to turn 6, and normally drop down again. No, he doesn't actually. Keeps it in third gear, down to second for turn 7, upshifts to third gear. The car really does struggle for traction in them zones, but just looking at Shaunzy's information, he is a free agent. He's using a DD Pro with a manual transmission, and you can catch him on YouTube at Shaunzy403 as we get into the braking zone of the chicane at turn 10. Hard on the brakes, gets nicely on the brakes there, up into fourth for the penultimate corner. That curb on the left hand side could be very slippery, but avoids it. And as we come across the start-finish line, he produces a time of a 1 minute 28.186. What can the rest of the field do in response? Well, Wicco has gone on to pole position with a flying start there, 1 minute 27.214, and he's actually 9.5 tenths quicker than his nearest rival. It actually scrapped that now because Fenrir just came across the line there to produce a 1 minute 27.9. So Shaunzy down into P3 with his time just over a second off the leader there. Quite a good start from the drivers here. There is about 1 minute left in quali, but it does seem like quite a fair bit of the drivers are struggling out there with the cold track temperatures. What's your thoughts, too?
Yeah, these cold track temperatures are going to be a huge point of contention for the drivers, let alone the fact that this BAC Mono is a car that really has a favoritism for the racing tires. So it's easy to think that this car might be too powerful for this tire compound, which is why you will be seeing a lot of drivers running traction control on just to make sure they can keep their car pointed where they need to be. And it seems Shanzi has taken P2 off of PHG Fender's hands. So even though this qualifying is drawing to a close, we're still seeing quite a few shakeups here in the standings. What are your thoughts, TKs?
Yeah, on the tire point, you know, having the sport mediums, these are more aggressive road tires essentially, not quite racing tires, and I think we're seeing a lot of understeer where the car's just not turning as tight as they'd want, and that's just due to lack of grip on the fronts as we see driver go off. Let's check this replay.
Looked like there was a bit of contact there, T-Case. If we look at it here, yeah, Shell, Turtle Shell with a bad rejoin actually, and kind of wrecked Brigsby's lap there. I'm sure there'll be some words exchanged between the pair of them. As
all Turtle Shell actually apologized to Brigsby for the contact pretty swiftly. Great show of sportsmanship, Flot.
Definitely, 100% agree there.
It can be so hard too when you're on your hot lap and you go off, you make a mistake, you're frustrated, you're trying to get back on the racetrack as quick as possible, and it's sometimes hard to see the guy coming right around on the outside, and you end up unintentionally coming back on and knocking him.
Well, the drivers are on their final lap now. Shaunzi is on pole position as he sets a new fastest lap of a 1:27.1. And as the other drivers complete their final laps, is Wicco still on circuit? Because Wicco is... Oh, he's just crossed the line, Wicco. I've just got reports. He's just crossed the line. Finishes 81/1000th of a second off of Shaunzi's time in P1. So very close qualifying between the pair of them, with Fenrir in P3 as well. Yeah, fantastic qualifying there. Shapes up a really exciting race here, guys.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. And this is already unexpected. And the thing that has my attention, though, is this is going to be a grid start with false start check on sports medium tires in a car that's arguably too powerful for these tires. So this start's going to be a very pivotal point in the race, lest we also forget some of the braking zones that are going to be some hot spots for lap one. What about you, TKs?
Yeah, when you have a grid start like this, your braking point changes going into turn one. You're not carrying nearly as much speed as you normally would be. So the people starting at the front have a very short run into turn one, and they're going to have to figure out when they need to brake. Hopefully it's not too late and they go understeering off the track. But I do suspect to see traction control turned on for the start, just so that they can help get that grip off the line.
Well, just confirmation of the qualifying results in front of you. So Shaunzi qualifies on pole position with that 1:27.133. Just a tenth quicker than Wicco, who will start in P2. Then we got Fenrir in P3, Throwback Cat in P4, Brigsby in P5, then Dagger in P6, Bandit in P7, and Turtle Shell in P8. Oh, sorry, and Angry Fredbird at the back of the grid in P9.
You know, being in the back of the grid, especially in a false start and it being Road Atlanta, isn't all that bad. That might be a more beneficial position because Fredbird will be able to have a better run into turn one, and he'll be able to carry that momentum moving into turns 2 and 3.
Indeed, it turns 1, 2, 3, 4. It can be really chaotic at the start of the race. Coming in on the first turn on the right-hander going up the hill, and then you get everybody on the brakes as they go into 2, 3, and 4. So I think you're right. Starting at the back can keep you out of danger and allow you to take advantage of some opportunities.
I'm actually interested to know if any of you did practice and whether or not there will be some sort of strategy going on in this race. Will the drivers make it to the end on one fuel tank? Well, I suppose we'll have to wait and see. Maybe I'll ask you that question a little bit later on as we're about to start the race here for the Division B drivers at the Michelin Road Atlanta. Wait for the lights to go out. Lights are out and away we go. And it looks like the driver's got a really good put away. Wicko getting an excellent start and propelling himself up into the race lead ahead of Shawnzy.
He bumped into Shawnzy.
Onto the grass as well, down into P3. Throwback Cat's going to go up the inside. Then we got somebody else wide. I think it was Wicko wide on the grass as well. So he's down into P5 and just maybe cursed his luck there because he went a little bit too deep into turn 1 and as a result, initially going into the lead, finds himself in P5 now. But let's have a look at the leaders here, because Fenrir is the race leader at the moment. As we look at the replay, on board with P8 at the moment, and we'll see exactly what happened at the front here. Yeah, Shawnzy went wide, then P5 went wide, then Wicko went too deep into turn 1 and lost 5 positions from the initial amazing start from him. Yeah, it was a little bit messy at turn 1 and maybe to be expected on freezing cold tyres there. But yeah, definitely it's thrown the race on its head, and we have a new leader in Fenrir in P1. We're on board with Turtle Shell with a very close pack in front. Wicko all over the back of Bandit as Turtle Shell goes a little bit squibbly on the exit, and that would have cost him a little bit of time. But Turtle Shell, free agent, using a T300 RS wheel as we see Wicko just up the inside of Bandit, it looks like, in front on turn 1. Can he make it stick? Yes, he does. Does he keep it on circuit though? Yes, I think just about in front, and Bandit will have to settle for P4 for the time being. But just alluding to Turtle Shell using the T300 wheel, and you can catch him on YouTube at Mr. Turtle Shell.
Throwback Cat just went rally crossing into the S's, and it seems Wicko's fighting his way up the field rapidly.
Yeah, that's really impressive. Wicko's recovery. That was amazing.
As we move on over to Throwback Cat, looks like everything's running A-okay. Too wide down here, just has to run too wide and gets a little bout of rally crossing for this evening.
Yeah, just on that replay there, just got hit off track and ran wide onto the grass, lost a couple of positions there. Very unlucky for him, and I was suspecting that this race could pan out like this as we go down the back straight now, and it's Brigsby all over Turtle Shell, who hits the grass, spins out to the left and loses a couple of positions as Shawnzy looks to go up the inside of Turtle Shell, makes it work and into P5. And a little bit of door banging, or wheel banging, should I say, in these cars. But yeah, Turtle Shell under all sorts of pressure from Dagger in P7, and Brigsby not too far behind in P8 as well. And it is literally go, go, go in this race, guys. Action galore. This is what we like to see, right?
Oh, yeah. I can't believe Brigsby kept pointing in the right direction. Usually when you hit the grass like that, it sends you spinning all the way around. So good on him to keep it going and be able to stay on the track.
Oh, and I'm not exactly sure what happened there, but Turtle Shell just managed to slingshot his way in front of Dagger there. So maybe a little bit of sportsmanship from Dagger. I'm not 100% sure. It was a little bit of a weird moment there, but we need to look back on board with the leaders. We're on board with Bandit. It does look really tight actually between Wicko and Fenrir if we can get the camera on them. Wicko, yes, 2.5 tenths is the gap as we go into the big braking zone for turn 10. Fenrir doesn't look like he's going to defend though. Kind of kept the car on the outside there, and I kind of expected Wicko to dive down the inside, but perhaps just sizing his opportunity on Fenrir, and maybe we'll look to make another move in the coming corners. But so far, Fenrir in the lead at the moment, and he is taking a very defensive line, goes to the outside. I don't think Wicko can make the move, but slight tap on the rear of Fenrir there as we go into the blind. Oh, it goes wide, Fenrir wide, and Wicko up the inside, and Wicko takes the lead of the race as Fenrir sinks down into P2 as we go through the S's now. And yeah, Wicko, I was just about to allude to that Wicko may sense an opportunity. Well, that was the opportunity there, and already pulled a 1.6 second lead over Fenrir. As it may be that Fenrir has got dirty tyres from taking that rallying excursion of track. But yeah, looking on board with Shawnzy at the moment, very close to the back of Throwback Cat in P4, and Bandit not too far in front as well in P3. So it certainly is a battle going on for the last step on the podium. We'll see what happens between these three as we come down the back straight now. I don't know where to look, guys. There's literally action all over the grid.
There really is. Just panning through the field, everybody's in a battle for something. We've got 54 Throwback, having their battle. Turtle Shell and Dagger are having their own little mini bout. Brigsby's playing catch up to Dagger. Fredbird's cruising along. Yeah, everybody's off doing something. No matter where you look, there's action left, right, and center.
And we're going to see the tire wear coming into effect here shortly as well. As these cars, you can hear it. They're just sliding all over the place. They never really sound planted. There's just squealing going on left and right. So we're going to start to see the tire wear come into play here as grip is very important.
Well, it's not even the tire wear that we have to worry about too much. They're going to have to start focusing on their fuel because just about everybody, if not everybody, will have to stop for a splash and dash at some point. I've seen in practice lobbies, people are able to make the tire wear work because, we're only a third of the way in the race, and these tires for most of the drivers are just now really showing some signs of decay. So, yeah, it's going to be who can manage their fuel the best.
And sorry to interrupt you here as well. Bandit had a half a second penalty. I'm not sure if don't think he served it on this lap, did he? I think he may have to serve it on the next lap. But we see Shawnzy up the inside of Throwback Cat, who affords him the room. Woo! He takes that opportunity, and Shawnzy up into P4 from Throwback Cat, who sinks down into P5. As it looks like Bandit is going into the pit lane now. Taking this pit stop quite early, it has to be said. This is where the difference in pit strategies may come into play. So we'll see if Bandit has made the right choice or not, as he puts in quite a lot of fuel, actually. Puts in a lot of fuel, new boots as well, new tyres.
New boots, yep.
Yep. Okay. So interesting strategy. We'll see if that pays off for him, because he was in an excellent P3. Just to give you a little bit of information on Bandit, he's also a free agent at the moment. Interestingly, he uses a Logitech G923 wheel, but automatic. I've never seen that before, to be honest, guys. We'll use using automatic.
Hey. It's whatever the drivers feel the most comfortable with, and Shawnzy has a half-second penalty up in P3 for track limits infringement. These tires are definitely making the penalties just start flying all over the place. It's like whack-a-mole for penalties.
Absolutely, and that's what I was meaning. They're going to have grip, but a lot of these turns, you really throw the car in. You're trying to carry as much speed, so even just a little bit of tire degradation will make you slide just that much further, and then the next thing you know, you got all four wheels over the track limits and you're getting a penalty.
And something we just missed there as well, Turtle Shell made the move on Throwback Cat as well. So Turtle Shell up into P4, Throwback Cat down into P5, and Turtle Shell looking to chase down Shawnzy, but it doesn't look like Shawnzy has got pace there, as we see we see Dagger go up the inside of Throwback Cat there. Can we get a replay on that at all?
And Wild Up going on. Brigsby's in the pits as well, so that's our second pit for the evening.
So there is Dagger there. It seemed like he got a much better exit than Throwback Cat, who had to slow down on the outside there. And yeah, excellent move there for him up into P5. Can he now chase down to Turtle Shell, who currently finds himself in P4? Well, look at that gap. He is all over the back of Turtle Shell as we come up to turn 6. Looking for that opportunity up the inside. It's not going to quite work there. On to turn 7. It's very important to get a really good exit on here. This is, oh, I was just about to say, this is where the car goes a bit slidey if you're not too careful on the curbs, and nearly disaster there for Dagger as he slides the rear end out there and loses a bit of time, and he may become under pressure to Throwback Cat, who is just behind him in P6. But yeah, maybe a lost opportunity there for Dagger, who was looking to apply the pressure and maybe make the move on Turtle Shell. We'll have to concede as they both dip into the pits, it seems.
It does look like everybody's starting to get their pit stops in at about halfway of the race. And if we could look at that tire graphic, we saw there are quite a few options here for the drivers. We saw, you know, things with the pits are heavily dependent on their fuel saving strategies. So we could see a 7 and 8, an 8 and 7, or a very difficult to achieve but absolutely possible 15 lap run out just without taking any fuel. But with the rate these guys are going, I don't think we're going to be seeing anybody running a no-stopper. And looking at the fuel levels for P1 and 2 in Fenrir and Wicco, they're looking about the same. Yeah, everybody's pushing it right now. But Shanzi's looking dynamite in the fuel department, only half a tank. So this is going to be very interesting as we approach the second half of this race.
Yeah, I was just about to say with Shawnzy, it does look like he is going for the no-stopper here. Because you can see he's got half a tank of fuel. We are on lap 8 as well. So yes, the fuel will be very tight, and he probably will need to do more fuel saving. But I think it's looking nailed on though by what we can see. I suppose we will find out very, very shortly. But wasn't it Shawnzy that did the no stopper in the last round?
Maybe. It may have been Shanzi, but Shanzi is now in P2 in spectacular fashion with Dagger and Wick both in the pits. Looks like Wick's going to be on his way out in just a sec. Dagger's now getting the tank filled up.
And I will point out, it also looks like Throwback Cat and Angry Fredbird are on the same fuel saving strategy as Shanzi. They all have equal fuel, so they just made up a heap of positions with all the front runners going into the pits right now, as Throwback Cat is now into P3 and Shanzi into P2.
That is very interesting, and we've got Fenrir at the moment on pole position. You can see with his lap delta, actually, his fastest lap time was a 1 minute 28.1. I did look at the fuel saving runners in Throwback Cat and the other
Brigsby is not having a great time right now, Flawed. He's all over the place, jumping across the track. Can we get a replay of Brigsby down in P9?
So with Fenrir, you can see there's a 128.1 with the fuel savers as he's just about to jump into the pits, actually. They are hitting 1 minute 31, so they are losing roughly about 3 to 4 seconds a lap. So we'll see how much time they lose out here. I'm not sure about how much time is spent in the pits as we look on board with Brigsby on the replay. Oh yeah, he goes massively wide, cuts the grass as well. Does really well to stop the car from spinning out, but he's going to have, or he would have had dirty tyres there, and certainly that car would have been an absolute nightmare to keep control of. But yeah, certainly not having the best of races then, who finds himself in P9 and 10 seconds adrift of Dagger right now, as Fenrir's just come out of the pit lane to rejoin in P5 then, and he's just behind Angry Fredbird, sorry, who is just over 1 second in front. He would have had the overspeed as Fenrir came out of the pit lane there. Fenrir will have to get them tyre temperatures up to heat as well, but yeah, could be a good battle going on for P4 right now. It is actually a second at the moment, and Angry Fredbird, he's one of the drivers that is fuel saving, isn't it? Fenrir, I would imagine, will be pushing right to the end, so you would expect Fenrir to make a move very, very shortly.
And Fenrir's got fresh tires compared to Fredbird as well, so he's going to have a little bit more grip. And I did notice that so far all the drivers have done well to avoid this tricky pit lane, except for Dagger, who did get a 3-second penalty for crossing the pit line.
Yeah, that pit entry is a tricky little bugger. It sneaks up on you. You think you did it right, and the game decides, that was a false sense of security. And speaking of penalties, it looks like Brigsby's still not having a great laugh, as he just served a half-second track limit penalty. But there's still 5 laps of intense racing to go. Anything can happen, so nobody is out yet.
And there's a tight battle for second going on right now as well between Wicco and Throwback Cat. Looks like we got 2 tight battles.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, as we pan onto Throwback Cat now with Wicco, as you alluded to, right on the back bumper as he gets a better line as well. Will he take the inside? He does, but there is a little bit of contact between the drivers. I'm not sure if that was netcode or not, but Wicco up the inside and takes that P2 away from Throwback Cat, who we mentioned is fuel saving, isn't he? So probably expected Wicco to peel away and get that P2. But next on his list will be Shaunzy, who finds himself 7.5 seconds up the road from him in the race lead right now. As we look on board with Fenrir, who is closing the gap on Fred right now in P4. And, well, I don't think he's going to make it work in the braking zone, so he will need to be a little bit patient before he can make any moves. But certainly we'll take that position soon as we look on board with Turtleshell, who has a Dagger for company. Dagger looking to apply all sorts of pressure, maybe force a mistake from Turtleshell, or maybe make a move on him on turn 1. We'll have to wait and see as he closes right on in on Shell. Oh, he gets on the grass though. That lost him valuable time as he goes up the inside anyway. Goes up the inside. Oh, was there contact? There might have been contact. I think there was, because Dagger is slowing down now. Of course, as Dagger hit the grass earlier, I was just about to say he might give him dirty tyres. And certainly I think there was a lack of grip as we look on the replay now. So, yeah, Dagger up the inside. It was like a late move, really. And there was contact with Shell, and Turtleshell had nowhere to go other than off the circuit. And you know, fair play to Dagger, who I thought was slowing down to let Turtleshell through.
I think he was trying to let Dagger, or trying to let Turtleshell through, but Turtleshell wound up spinning himself out. So Dagger realized it was go time. The opportunity was there though, and fair play to Dagger for waiting up after that incident.
Okay, that clears that one up then. So yeah, a little bit unlucky, a little bit unfortunate for Turtleshell. Then there may be steward inquiries going on or after the race, but we will look on board with the front runners though in the meantime. So Throwback Cat finds himself in P3. Quite a lonely race for him now. Finds himself about 4 seconds behind Wicco in P2 and 14.5 seconds in front of Fenrir. But we do know that Fenrir is pushing like mad, and we know that Throwback Cat will be conserving his tyres and his fuel, so we'll be driving at a slightly slower rate. But Shawnzy still in P1 at the moment. As we just look on the details for Throwback Cat, he is a free agent. He does use a Logitech G923 wheel on a manual transmission, and you can find him on YouTube. It's at Mr. Sean /40.
I think there is a little bit of a battle coming in for P5, though. It seems Angry Fredbird's trying to peel away from Bandit, who currently has a half-second penalty. Touching on the free agent thing, as we see Dagger just got signed to PHG, I'm starting to think free agent might just mean not in PHG yet.
Right. Yet, he says.
Yet.
We may need to have a look on board with P1 and 2, because I do suspect that they're getting rather close together.
Wicco is definitely closing that gap to Shawnzy as we speak.
And it's just as you said, Flawed, as far as
Yep.
how much time the fuel savers are losing per lap, as we see every lap Wicco getting a couple seconds closer to Shawnzy.
Well, we are in the penultimate lap, though.
We are, but he's probably making a good 3 or 4 seconds a lap. So the gap is now 2 seconds. As we are halfway through lap 14 at the moment. He needs to get a good exit, which I think he does there. So it's 2.2 seconds at the moment, but you'll see he'll start reining it in as we get further down the back straight here. You can see now we are 1.8, 1.7 seconds going into the braking zone then, and going into the chicane. It's 1.6, it's going down to 1.5. So as we come across the start-finish line to start the last lap of the race, it is a one-lap showdown between P1 and P2 then. And it finds himself 1.1 seconds behind Shawnzy now. As that time starts whittling down further and further as we go through the blind right-hander. That is a good exit there from Wicco. Shawnzy still holding on to the race win at the moment, but must be anxiously looking in his mirrors right now as that car of Wicco's getting bigger and bigger in them mirrors. And it is now down to nearly half a second now, and it looks inevitable that Wicco is going to make that move very, very shortly on Shawnzy as we go through turn 7 now. Very important for Wicco. Oh my God, it goes a little bit wide though. Little bit wide. That would have cost him time. Shawnzy able to pull away slightly, but we'll have to save fuel, and Wicco will be pedal to the metal. We'll see how much he closes in, but maybe that mistake has cost him the race win as we go into the braking zone for the very last time. And
Shawnzy's out of fuel.
Is he out of fuel?
It looks like it.
He's
yeah,
out of
Shawnzy's
fuel.
out.
Wow, he's out of fuel, guys. He's out of fuel. Will Wicco take the race win? No.
He just.
Shawnzy wins though. Shawnzy with the win.
1/10.
Wicco with the second position, 1/10, as Toon just mentioned there. How close was that? That was absolutely fantastic. Throwback Cat just about to come across the start-finish line to claim the last step on the podium, with Fenrir not too far behind in the end in P4, and then Fred will come across the line in P5. Bandit for company as well, actually in P6, but he's not going to catch up in time, and he will have to settle for P6. Dagger will get P7, who actually Turtle Shell not too far behind as well, 1.8 seconds behind him, but you would have to say that Dagger should be able to bring it home and claim that P7, and indeed he does.
Like it.
Yep.
Turtle Shell in P8. Now all that's left is Brigsby, who is not too far behind them in the grand scheme of it. Brigsby is also sitting low in the fuel department, and yeah, it looks like fuel was a huge factor coming into this. As this race was coming to a close, I noticed the glaring difference between Shawnzy's and Wick's fuel levels. I thought, I honestly did not expect it to be that close of a race when I saw how low Shawnzy's fuel tank was, but my apologies to Shawnzy for doubting him.
That was really impressive, and also there was a huge gap with Finnerer and Throwback Cat. Throwback Cat doing the no stop, and Finnerer doing a pit stop, and he had gained 10.5 seconds on him in those last few laps. So it was interesting to see that pace difference.
Absolutely. And I think the stewards are really going to be combing through this replay. There was action left, right, and all over the place.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, it was it certainly was an action-packed race, that is for sure, and certainly got all three of us on our feet right at the end there. And just as a confirmation, or maybe at least provisionally for the time being, the race winner in Chauncey, who just about held off Wicko. We couldn't work out whether or not he had enough fuel or not. It was certainly very low on fuel, and yeah, I mean, I got to say, probably nerves of steel there. But yeah, congratulations to Chauncey for the race win with Wicko in P2, just 1/10 behind. Throwback
What's the
Cat,
fastest lap?
with the fastest lap, thank you, with that 1 minute 26.949. Then Throwback Cat gets the last step on the podium with that P3. Fenrir P4 with Fred in P5, Bandit in P6, Dagger in P7, and Turtle Shell in P8. And maybe a not so great race for the P9 in Brigsby. Yeah, that is the grid, and what a fantastic race that was, guys. I've almost lost my voice there, to be honest.
That was me last night. Welcome to my world, buddy. It's this league will definitely put you through your paces. This is the best part about this league. It's what separates it from other leagues that I've seen, the World Series. Like, there's just nonstop action. Everybody's in it to win it. Everybody's go from start to finish. And the sportsmanship we saw with the drivers apologizing for any incidents, slowing up to wait for anybody they may have had contact with, it's just on a whole different level. That's what makes this league just so very special. Moving on over to the interviews, it's time to talk to Chauncey. Chauncey, how are you feeling? Chauncey is deafened. Oh, he can't. Chauncey can't hear us. Oh, there we go.
There we go. Figured out how to turn my mic on. Sorry, guys. Never did
All
this
good?
before. What a race, eh? Oh my God.
That was an intense race. So give us your thoughts on that photo finish you had with Wicko. Coming into the last turn, it looked like you were sitting on nothing for fuel.
Yeah, I actually ran out as I was crossing the line because when he got close in the final straightaway, I was like, well, no sense saving any fuel. So I turned my fuel map back down and just pushed as hard as I could for the final straight. And if I ran out, I ran out. I just had to go for it, right?
Right. Flawed, any questions for our victor for this evening?
Yes, indeed. Congratulations, Chauncey, on the race win. I got to say, I'm still lost for words now. I mean, that was incredible. Going into the race, was you confident you was going to get the race win with the strategy that you used?
Well, I knew I had a good strategy, but I knew that Wecco was fast enough to cancel it out. Like, he had enough pace on me lap after lap to overcome anything I gained by not pitting. I knew I was decent while I was fuel saving for pace, so it was a lot to consider. It was kind of a last minute decision, and once I decided to go with it, I had to commit to it, right?
Yeah, definitely. I was also going to ask as well as a second question. So obviously you was doing a lot of fuel saving. You mentioned you was changing the fuel map. Was there a lot of short shifting involved as well? And how tricky was that car to drive, especially on old tires?
Actually, the tires, the fall off on the tires really wasn't terrible, and I actually found that adjusting the fuel map took some of the torque away, and I was losing a lot of the wheel spin. It actually balanced the car out a bit to drive it a bit slower. It was kind of weird.
So it definitely worked in your favor there. That's
Yeah.
fantastic there. Again, congratulations. TK,
Thank you very much.
any questions?
Yeah, absolutely. Shanzi, congrats, man. That was an incredible race. If you can remember all the way back to the race start, I'd like to get your thoughts on that. It was a bit chaotic going into turn one.
100%. I didn't expect to be starting where I was. I had practice starts with lobbies with Bandit and Fred there, but like I was trying to give him space. I knew I was going to be turning my TC up and my fuel map down, and I knew I'd be giving up to Wicco at the start, and I wasn't trying to fight him. It's just that there was a bit of lag, and he kind of turned in, and you know how it is when you're in these lobbies. That little bounce you get is just terrible. And then sorry for the chaos behind us. I mean, that was an awful first turn for us to go into like that.
Well, it's part of the beast of this track. Short run into turn one to carry all the speed going up the hill. There's really only one line to take, so you kind of have to expect it. But that was incredible, and your strategy really paid off. Congratulations, man.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Congrats to all the racers. Great race by everybody today.
Oh, absolutely. You go celebrate a very hard-earned victory. Now it's time to move on over to our second place finisher, the other half of the insane photo finish. Wicco, how are you doing, sir?
Excellent, guys. That was a crazy finish.
That was indeed. We saw you setting some pretty good lap times. You did take an early pit and definitely put up a massive fight through the grid to go and make up some lost positions. And you were very adamant on your strategy in practice. How satisfied are you with how your strategy worked for you in the race?
So during practice, obviously there was no traffic. So I got stuck behind a couple people, and then of course that first turn, getting in the grass, but it's always a crazy turn. But yeah, I mean, there was congrats on Chauncey because I couldn't have done the no stop at all. I tried, it just wasn't working for me.
Understandably so. Flood?
Yes, congratulations, Wicco. Great performance there. Unlucky not to grab the final, the win there. But I was going to ask actually. So, did you know about other drivers' strategies? Did you know what Chauncey was going to do prior to the race?
No, I had an idea because he did it in the last race. But I mean, the quickest pace, no matter what, was a one stop. But again, the lap traffic it definitely slowed you down.
Yeah, I mean, certainly, I really thought you was going to get the race win there. We couldn't quite see on the footage, but did you run slightly wide on the penultimate corner, like the end of the chicane?
I actually double shifted on accident, so I was stuck in sixth gear and I couldn't move up the hill.
Ah, okay, yeah, because for the world, I thought you was going to take the win, and then all of a sudden, there was still a gap, and then I mean. Yeah, fine margins, right?
Oh yeah, no, he was right in the middle of the track too. There's nothing I could have done.
Well, congratulations on P2. TK, any questions?
Yeah, so I guess we were all talking about it in those last 4 laps as we saw what your pace was and we saw what Chauncey's pace was. Were you calculating or looking at the deltas to figure out how much you were gaining on them and figuring out what lap you might catch them, or were you just head down racing?
So I was paying attention a little bit, but I was just head down trying to catch up as fast as I could. His last 2 laps were definitely slow. And then the last lap, obviously, I saw him down to about 0.6, and I was like, okay, there's a chance.
Awesome, man. Well, congratulations on P2. Well done. Great race.
Thanks, guys. Congrats, Chauncey.
Yes, and congratulations indeed, and thank you for such a memorable finish. You guys are making this league just absolutely amazing. Now we've got time to move on over to our P3 recipient for Division B, and that is Throwback Cat. Throwback, how are you feeling?
Oh, feeling great. That was a really good race. Had a couple strategies, and I decided to go with the no stopper. So just wanted to see how the pace of the race was going, if I can keep up with the fuel saving. And it worked out pretty well. I thought the one stop was probably the best, like Wicco said, but I just decided to stay on the track. Flow was going, so I just started to stay.
It definitely looks like it worked in your favor. So, what was going through your head when you were having to do some fighting? I know you had a lot of you had a large group to work your way through. I'm pretty sure Fenrir was also up on you for a moment or so. Like, what was going through your head as you were driving 15 laps with this car and tire combination?
Well, I just wanted to keep a steady pace. I knew that the fact that I was fuel saving, it was going to allow some drivers to catch up, and I was okay with that as long as they were pitting. Um, so I just stuck up with the steady driving and steady pace on each lap, and was hoping that worked out for me.
Absolutely. Flood?
Yes, so Throwback Cat, congratulations on P3.
Thank you. Hmm.
I was just going to ask, really. So, prior to the race, obviously you would have done practice. So, did you have any idea of the type of strategies the drivers around you were going to be on, yeah, how confident would you have been going into the race itself?
Well, I kind of based it off the qualifying times, to be honest. I knew there was going to be quite a few guys faster than me, but I ran a good lap on a qual time, and I was, felt like if I could keep a steady pace, that I could accomplish the no stopper because I thought I could keep up. So that was the whole idea. When the race started, if I felt like everyone was going to pull away, then I was going to go to the pits. But I felt comfortable with the fuel saving and keeping a good pace. And like I said, it just seems to work out for me.
Yeah, definitely. Excellent job there from you. Very consistent. TK, you got any questions?
Yeah, I'm going to know your thoughts. I mean, you kind of alluded to it a bit of, just running your race and running your pace. I know for
Hmm.
me, it gets difficult when you have somebody who lap after lap is just getting closer and closer. And I think with 4 laps to go, Fenner was like 14 seconds off of you, and then by the end, he was only 3.5. And how much,
Right.
and also how much fuel did you have left right there at the end?
Right.
What all was going through your head those final laps?
Right. I'm glad you brought that up because that determined a lot of things towards the end. I seen the league I had, and what I didn't want to do was just push the lap too hard and lose the rear end and spin out. I probably did that probably once, was able to get it back, but that was the whole thing. I actually slowed my pace down a little just so I could keep the car on the track, and I just
Oh,
paid
wow.
attention to the ground he was catching up, and I felt comfortable towards that last straightaway. That if I kept it on the track that he wouldn't catch me, but he would get close.
Well, yes, indeed. Wow. Good job, man. Congratulations. That was awesome.
All right, thanks.
Yes, congratulations indeed. You go relax, and I hope you're excited to see what you'll be facing next week as the race details will be revealed towards the end of this broadcast. Thank you for your time, Throwback.
Yes, sir. Hey, I just want to let all the hosts know you guys do an outstanding job. I couldn't believe my wife sat down here and watched the whole race, and she only watched it because of the way you guys commentate. So I want to appreciate that because a lot of times you're like, "Oh, you playing the game again?" But now she sees why. Now she sees why. So again, I appreciate all the hosts and everybody involved, man. It's really fun. Thanks.
Thank you.
It's our
Appreciate that,
pleasure.
Kat.
Thank you so much.
All right.
All righty, everyone. There will be a brief interlude whilst the production team calculates the points and set up the next race, which will be second split for Division A. So sit back, relax, enjoy a beverage, and we will be back very shortly. Welcome back, everybody. We just had an insane finish to another amazing race this race weekend. Now it's time we go and take a look at the provisional classified results for the Division B race that we just experienced. Again, these are provisional and pending steward inquiries. So in P1 right now with 48 points, we have Wicco. In P2, very close behind, trailing by 2, is Shamsi. In P3, we have PHG Fenrir, Throwback Cat in P4. Rounding out our top 5 will be Sakari Dagger. In P6, we have Angry Fredbird with Turtle Shell quite close by in P7. Bandit in P8, Brigsby in P9, Horde of Plenty rounding out our top 10, and DBM0X all the way in P11. So this division is a very good division, and if I'm Division A, I'm going to be looking at them and be like, oh no, they might be some of my competitors moving forward into the future seasons. But anyway, let's go and take a look at the race details for the second split of Division A.
Thank you, Tone. So yeah, final race of this evening. We are heading back to Canada at Lake Louise for the second heat in Division A. Now, the track length is 2.3 miles and makes up a total of 12 turns on this icy terrain at Lake Louise Long Circuit. And the drivers will be using the 2.5 ton, 379 brake horsepower, four-wheel drive pickup truck in the Tundra TRD Pro 2019 vehicle. Exactly the same settings in Heat 1, a 5-minute qualifier ahead of a 15-lap race featuring a rolling start with no damage, tyre wear or fuel consumption to worry about. Balance of power cannot be applied in these races, but there will be a power, weight and PP limit applied instead, with no tuning allowed and fitted with snow tyres. With all these settings applied, there will be no need for a pit stop, so a straight up sprint from start to finish will ensure action at all times during the race, and hopefully the drivers will have learnt from the excursions of the previous drivers from Heat 1. Toon, can you remind us on the point allocation tables and the driver lineups for this race, please?
Will do, but before we get into that, I would like to let everybody know that we just received a very generous 50 PLN super chat from Slipstream Racing. Thank you so much, Slipstream, and thank you to everybody else who has donated and shown their support financially this past weekend and this season so far. Now, moving into the points totals, these are across both splits 1 and 2 for Division A. So the fastest total time across both splits will receive 21 points, but the second fastest receiving 20. Third fastest will receive 18, and going down the order from there. We have race bonuses for the individual split winners, the runner-ups, third place, and a bonus point for the fastest lap of that split. Moving our way over to the driver lineup for split 2, we will have Salamander MN, part of PHG, Chief Apollo 11, Spawn, Jesser, MMR Moose, VTX Scott, and VTX Jake rounding out our starting grid for this second split. Now, as you see under their names, you can see their YouTube @handles and their Twitch usernames. If they have those, feel free to check them out to see if they have a driver cam stream of their race on during this. And if you do, be sure to leave this tab open so you don't miss a moment of the racing action that you might not be seeing from the driver cam.
Thank you, Toon. So yeah, we are just awaiting the drivers to make their final checks, their warm-up laps ahead of this 5-minute qualifying. I need to ask you, gentlemen, anyone that looks particularly quick in practice during the week? I know you mentioned about the first heat. So any of the drivers in Heat 2 that caught your eye?
Salamander has been putting in a lot of practice. Jesser was generous enough to run a 24/7 lobby for the Saturday Division A races, so people could come and go as they please to get enough amount of practice in. But yeah, Salamander's definitely one to keep an eye out for. Very, very quick. And speaking of generosity, we have received a $10 super chat from the proprietor of PHG, Papa's House of Game himself. Love the racing. Thank you so much, Papa. Your support means a lot. We're so happy to have you and your community be a part of this league. T-Case, is there anybody in this second heat that has your attention?
Well, I'm just looking right now, and it's looking like VTX Jake and Moose are going to put in a really good qualifying lap. So looking to see how they play out here on this frozen tundra in the tundras. And real quick, I did want to point out, we've been getting a lot of donations, and we appreciate that. We get that not everybody can do that, but if you could hit the like button, subscribe, that really helps the channel out and helps this league out. And if you notice, Flawed, Toon, and I all have some type of streaming channel, with Flawed with the Twitch, myself with YouTube, and Toon with both. So pop over there, maybe hit a like and subscribe button there. We'd greatly appreciate it as well.
Yes, indeed. And it looks like we're about to get qualifying underway. Flawed, have at it.
Well, I've noticed... Oh, we had a driver just disappear off there. Oh, you might have... it's their pit exit, of course, yeah. So, I did actually notice a couple of new drivers, or drivers that wasn't present in the last round, particularly the VTX drivers. So expecting to see a good showing from them. We are on board with Moose at the moment, a good colleague of mine on the Twitch side. Now Moose, I do believe he's got a pickup truck in real life. He may need to confirm that with me. But he is part of Team Moose Mafia Racing, using a Logitech G923 manual transmission. And yes, if you do want to catch him on Twitch, it is Moose__21. Moose will be the first one to start a fresh lap unless he makes a mistake here. But yeah, a little bit unknown with Moose, because apparently he's been quite busy this week and wasn't able to put in the duration of practice that perhaps he would have liked. So I'm going to be interested to see what his snow rallying skills are like, and whether or not he can hold off the likes of Salamander and Spawn, for example, actually, and Chief Apollo. What are your thoughts, guys?
Yeah, you make very valid points. Moose was quite busy. Some of the other drivers have been very hard at work, but we would be remiss if we didn't mention the two faces that unfortunately could not make it last week in VTX Scott and VTX Jake. So these guys are going to be just the wild card factors, if you will, in this race, because we don't really have anything to go off of. All we know for certain is they're part of Vertex Racing, and they are fast. How fast? Well, that's for qualifying and the race to decide. What do you think, TK?
Yeah, we're gonna find out here shortly just how quick they are, and I'm curious how much having this be the second race here is gonna play an effect on these drivers and the lines they take, as we saw what worked and what didn't work at the first race today. And I do assume most of these people have been practicing all week, so they do have an idea, but I think there is somewhat of an advantage that they all have, because they all got to see the first race. So see how that plays out, if we're going to see faster lap times or if it's going to be about the same.
Yeah, and I will say it was VTX Blindman, was it? Is that the same
yes.
team?
Blindman, who had the insane head-to-head with Le Cabra last night, arguably
That's
the
right.
finest battle in GT7 history, and you can quote me on that one.
Yeah, well, anything can happen. And in that race, I would obviously you guys I know got waxed lyrical about that. Two side by side in air. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen anyone go over. I don't think I've ever seen two cars side by side going over a jump before. It looked very spectacular. Hopefully, the production team took a good picture of that and saved it as a screenshot or something. But yeah, that was an absolute fantastic race there, and I'm hoping more of the same in this race. I know different terrain, but certainly same vehicles that they're using. So we're just riding on board with Chief Apollo 11. He is a free agent using a Logitech G Pro. That is a very professional wheel there, and a PSVR2 headset to boot. Manual transmission, of course. Wow, he's got some fancy tech there. Hopefully that will help him in this race, of course. But after a good showing in round one, you know, we will await to see whether or not he can match that in this race as he goes back into the pits, which was quite surprising there.
Oh yeah, it was surprising indeed. And to expand on the side by side in the air, I just want to also throw out the photo finish that we saw earlier. Just the heated battles. This league is really encapsulating the joys and the beauty of motorsport as a whole. It's one of a kind, really. And speaking of this league, we have received donations throughout this broadcast, but I'd also like to remind everybody that this broadcast is 100% community funded, so any sort of donations via super chats, super stickers, Swiss bank accounts, cryptocurrencies, a McNaughty's hidden Venmo account, ad revenue, likes, subscriptions, anything and everything goes right here into the league for our world-class drivers, our very diligent stewards, and us up here in the production booth that do the commentary. Every little bit goes a long way, and we thank you all for your consideration. Moving on over, it seems we have Salamander. Nope, never mind. VTX Ska, 300th of a second ahead of Salamander for pole position as this draws to a close. What are your thoughts, Flod?
Yeah, well, I was just about to mention, I was looking on board with Scar for the whole of that lap as he was purple in every sector, and it was no surprise that he came across the line there, but only 26 1,000th of a second quicker than Salamander. Now, I believe, was that their last lap or was this their last? So that is qualifying finish then, as I just got word from production there. So Scar will actually qualify on pole position. As I said, 26 1,000th of a second better off than Salamander in P2. So I suspect it's going to be a very close race. But if we look at the classified qualifying results, we can see there Scar on pole position with that fastest lap there ahead of Salamander. Then Moose, P3. Interesting, who only finished, I believe, 47 1,000th of a second slower than Scar in P1. So very, very tight between the top three, with Chief Apollo in P4, VTX Jake in P5, Jezu in P6, and Spawn in P7.
So that top three is all less than half a tenth behind each other. This is going to be a very heated and very intense battle for the podium and possibly the race victory. So this is going to be one to keep your eye on. What are your thoughts, TKs?
Well, I was just looking at the race chat here, and it looked like Spawn had a little bit of an issue, and he may have caused a few of the drivers to slow up. He did apologize, and VTX Jake had said no worries. So I wonder if that had a little bit to do with VTX Jake's slower time.
Oh, indeed.
Okay, that is understandable then. Yeah. Well, there is a 15-lap race though to navigate, and anything can happen in 15 laps. This is certainly a long enough race where there could be a lot of outcomes in this race as we await the race marshals to get this race underway. We have got Scar on pole position ahead of Salamander in P2 on the front row. Then it's Moose in P3, Chief Apollo P4, Jake P5, Jezza P6, and Spawn P7. It is a rolling start, so they'll all be in single file before the start of the race, of course, as we do get underway, and away we go. And yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see the lines taken from the drivers as we go into turn one then. And oh, a bit of a clatter on the wall for Salamander there, as he will lose a little bit of time there. I'm not sure what happened to Moose behind him, because he's actually slipped even further behind. So he may be under pressure from Chief Apollo and Jake in P4 and 5 respectively. But there's Moose in the background. We're just looking on board with Salamander now, who is currently about 1.5 seconds behind VTX Scar at the moment in P2. But certainly a no drama start, really, apart from Jake and Apollo look like they were side by side as we go into the corner. Jake just in front of Chief. Apollo just about manages to keep that nose in front of Chief there, but Chief not giving up without a fight, of course. As we look on board with Jake, just looking at his details, of course, mentioned before, he's part of the Vertex racing team using a Logitech G29 wheel and manual transmission for him. If you do want to check him out, guys, he is on YouTube at Jacob Bright 4425. But yeah, certainly very, very close between Jake and Chief Apollo. We are talking about 0.4 of a second right now. Can he hold off Chief Apollo? Chief Apollo certainly not making it easy for him at this stage as we go around this corner. Beautiful reverse shot there of the two drivers. But yeah, very close battle between P4 and 5 guys.
And it really seems like that's the main overtaking spot, is that sharp right-hander down there. I believe that's turn 4, is it? And that seems to be in the last race where the primary overtakes were happening. So we're looking for drivers to be using that to make their moves.
Your thoughts, Toon?
I couldn't agree more. That right-hander is a very pivotal overtaking zone, but I think the couple corners leading up to it also play a huge factor, because that momentum is extremely important for these drivers to maintain. As you see, they'll come through some of these banked corners and definitely will take the higher outside line just to try and carry some more speed as to try and secure an overtake. As we saw up in the grid, Salamander is riding the top of that ramp, trying to carry as much speed as possible and increase his gap between himself and Moose. But it doesn't look like it's going to be too much of a gap increase. But Salamander is also staying within earshot of VTX Scott. So this is going to definitely become a close battle for the race victory as this goes to a head, because we're not even a fifth of the way through this race.
Yeah, I have to say, certainly Moose is looking very competitive in this race, and currently, well, near enough on the bump of Salamander, and I'm sure Salamander not used to such pressure, but it's looking like at this stage, but it is an early stage, that there is a race for the top 3, and Scar might not be as fortunate to get away, although we see Moose alongside Salamander down the straight now. Moose tucked back into that little bit of slipstream as we go into turn 1, which is probably quite wise of him, actually, because you don't want to go too wide into turn 1. So he tucks in behind for the time being. But certainly Moose looking rather confident out there, and really sizing up his opportunity there, T-Case.
Absolutely, yeah. As we were saying, you know, he thought about the inside, backed out, stayed behind, and now he's carrying his speed up into what has become the spot to make an overtake happen.
Indeed, T-Case. I would also like to attract everybody's attention.
Here he goes.
Oh,
was there a bit of contact?
It looked like a little bit.
Sure. Yeah.
Maybe just a slight tap. We'd have to get a replay to take a better look, and there it is. Let's take a closer look at this.
So on board with Moose now. It looked like quite a gap, and then Salamander went maybe a little bit deep. Moose trying to take the inside line there, and then Salamander turned the car in, and it looked like
Looks like he
from
just slammed the door shut.
Yeah, from that angle, it didn't really look like contact. Maybe extremely close together, but from the angle I had there, it looked like contact, but perhaps I was wrong. But what I will say is that Salamander isn't too far from Scott, but also will be looking in his mirrors to try and fend off Moose, who is looking rather competitive. But I will also mention, guys, that VTX Jake, not too far behind in the background as well in P4. He's also got the fastest lap, well spotted there with that 1 minute 48.485. So you cannot rule out VTX Jake at this point either, and certainly good to see as well. We are talking to about 3.5 seconds gap between the leader and P4. So fantastic racing from the four of them. And then if we look at Jezza in P5, currently just a snippet in front of Chief Apollo in P6. Chief Apollo, we know he's a man that never gives up, and certainly a man on the mission right now. Currently 3/10 adrift of Jezza just in front of him, trying to defend for his life. Details for Jezza. He is a free agent using a Fanatec DD Pro, so he's is Chief Apollo up the inside there? Oh, Jezza on the outside. That's normally the faster line, but oh my God, they are side by side. They are side by side. Chief Apollo looks like he's just in front of Jezza and has made it work around the outside, which is the better line, to be honest, around here. So perhaps not a surprise, but still a fantastic move there from Chief Apollo. Really made the opportunity work for him, and perhaps he can now start concentrating on trying to catch the top four. But yeah, we look aboard with Moose, and look how close it is between him and Salamander for the fight for P2. Actually, you could say the fight for the race lead, because Scar is not too far in front of Salamander as well. A nice sort of train of pickup trucks down this back straight here as we start lap 5 of 15. And yeah, this is very, very interesting as Salamander... Okay, that was an interesting line from Moose, actually. Took a more sort of narrow line into the corner there. But yeah, it looks like certainly on turn 1, the faster line is the outside line. Wouldn't you agree, T-Case?
Oh, absolutely. You can just carry so much more speed, and it's all about the exits here. So if you can take that outside line and carry the speed, you're going to pull away on the straights.
Yeah, without a doubt, these straights are very tricky, and outside lines, every bit of speed you can get, because with how close just these top 4 drivers are, yeah, it's a game of who can carry momentum the best. It looks like Scott's slowly starting to pull away, but Salamander's saying, not in my house, and closing that gap once again.
Yes, indeed. And yes, Moose, a hard man to shake off as well from Salamander, and you know, maybe a game of cat and mouse here, to be fair, because there's not. I wouldn't say we're seeing too many passing opportunities, so it's looking like kind of trying to stay in the hunt for the race win, and seeing what could ensue towards the end of the race. But you can see Salamander now all over the back of Scar, as I say that. Half a second adrift of him, with Moose firmly tucked in to the slipstream of Salamander. Jake not too far behind in P4 as well. So certainly this is a very interesting battle. As you see, Scar kind of clattered the wall on the outside there. Surely that would have lost him a little bit of time, although it does look like he has actually gained a little bit of an advantage there. So yeah, that leads extended to 1.1 seconds as we see Moose right behind Salamander, putting him under all sorts of pressure, and trying to force a mistake from Salamander, if that is possible, of course. But yeah, certainly a very difficult one to call here, guys. It's
here he goes.
Oh yeah, Moose up the inside. A doesn't look like it's going to make it stick because he scribed off a lot of speed there. But Moose trying to switch your route, if that is possible. I don't know if that's possible. And it's, you can see it there. It's not possible. Salamander going around the outside, the high line, and carried that more speed out of the exit and gets away from Moose again.
I think the key to that corner is you wanna dive in on the inside on the right-hander and put yourself on the outside for the left, and then you can carry the speed on the banking while the driver you're overtaking is stuck on the inside and can't quite carry enough speed.
Yeah,
it does appear to be the case. And it seems Salamander's trying to fight a battle on two fronts at this rate. He keeps closing that gap to Scott and also has Moose, who's just about on par with him in terms of overall pace and momentum. My apologies. They're going to be coming through here, and with how much all the drivers are clattering these barriers, thank God there's no wall penalties, right, folks?
Mm-hmm.
Or damage.
Yeah, or damage
indeed.
Indeed. But it certainly is providing some really exciting and close racing between the top four. Also, looking towards the back of the grid then, we've got Spawn, who's having a bit of a lonely race there. Finds himself 14 seconds adrift of Jezza, so having all sorts of problems on this surface. Spawn is part of the Active Racing Lounge team. He drives a Logitech G29. I do believe the Logitech DF-GT is called the Driving Force GT, which I think is one of the older Logitech wheels, in thinking that. But you can catch him on YouTube, and it's at Dakara Spawn Black. We hope for better things for Spawn, but certainly it looks like he's struggling in this one. The only British driver, of course, in this field. So I'm a little bit gutted by that. But let's have a look back on board with the top of the grid here, because this race, it seems like it's going to go right to the wire, because it is how it was resumed earlier on with Salamander. I mean, it looks fantastic going through that left-hand bend there, but all three drivers going sideways there, almost like a car park, I have to say.
Vlad, yeah. I think Jake's starting to make his way into this heated battle. He's closing that gap somewhat to Moose. He's only 1.8 seconds behind, and a good run outside of this first turn will definitely put him in contention for a fight for the podium. We might see
certainly.
two
and
VTX
look at
members.
P1 and 2 as well. P1 and 2 look very, very close going into that corner there. It looked like Salamander was going to go up alongside VTX Scar there, but Scar was on the outside, and as alluded to earlier, that is the faster line. So Salamander, as you actually said, Toon, it's a bit of a yo-yo race, because it looks like at one point Salamander is going to take the race lead and then loses that speed, and then he's got Moose all over the rear end of his pickup truck. So as Moose tries one up the inside, a little bit of contact. I think Moose, is he backing off to let him through? It does look that way.
Yep.
So fair play to Moose. That is a very, very good sportsmanship. But Moose does have the outside line and the overspeed out of the exit, and he does make it work and into P2. And I don't know how to feel about that one, to be honest. But Salamander looking to fight back. There is a little bit of contact again between the two drivers, and Salamander up the inside and into P2. So maybe evened out there, guys.
There we go. Yeah, it all played out. I think positions got back to where they needed to be, and that was some great racing too.
Oh, absolutely. And let's just hope that their battling for the second position doesn't compromise their contention for the race win, because it looks like VTX Scott's starting to pull away ever so slightly. And moving over towards the grid, we're seeing Chief Apollo and Jesser continuing on their heated battle for P5. This is action left, right, all over the place. It's nonstop.
Yeah, it certainly is. And you was right about Jake as well. He is starting to make moves, isn't he? He's got that gap down to just over a second. And yeah, it looks like he's got a lot more confidence in that pickup truck now. He's literally full send into the corners. And I think he's starting to get that confidence and starting to believe in himself that maybe he can get a podium finish here.
It would definitely seem that way. Let's go and check in on Jesser down in P6, who is quite hot on the tail of Chief Apollo. It's been a bit of a game of cat and mouse from everything I've seen between these two, and I think yeah, it's just battles all over the place. That's one of the beauties about this league and about this car and track combination. It affords just motorsport in its purest form. Everybody's battling, everybody's keeping it as clean as possible. Racing incidents will happen, of course. That is the nature of the beast, but everybody's showing excellent sportsmanship throughout all of it. Now, let's see. Oh, my lord, I just took a look at Moose and Sal, and there was a little bit of argy-bargy, and VTX Jake actually just overtook Moose. Vlad, what are your thoughts over just the non-stop battling?
Well, we're looking on board with the replay now. So, yeah, we saw Moose on the outside of that turn. There's a little bit of contact, and they both kind of clambered the wall there. And there's Jake, who took sweet advantage there up the inside of Moose as he got the overspeed there. And I mean, Moose is probably going to come fighting back if we come off the replay now. Let's have a look at the order. So, yeah, Jake able to fend off Moose for the time being, but Moose definitely not going to give up without a fight. And Jake, yeah, within about 0.8 of a second from Salamander in P2. So, yeah, certainly this battle for P2 is not done. What I will say is that Scar has managed to pull in front by a little bit of a margin, so I wonder if the drivers are aware of the big prize here. As Moose throws it in, Jake goes all types of sideways, nearly hits Salamander as well.
No,
and
he ping-ponged into Salamander.
Yeah, indeed. And so VTX Jake and Moose side by side. Moose looking to send one on the inside. He's got a nose in front at the moment, but certainly just about holding off from Jake. But Jake, oh my God, Jake gets the overspeed and reclaims that P3 away from Moose with Salamander firmly ahead in a P2, and maybe smiling as he looks in his rear mirror there. But wow, this is unbelievable racing here, guys. And yeah, certainly Jake trying to defend for his life to hold on to that final podium position as we go down the back straight. But fantastic racing there, guys.
Excellent.
Oh, without
stuff.
a doubt.
Excellent stuff.
DKs, what are your thoughts from the battles you've seen throughout this grid?
Well, we're seeing some similarities to the first race today in this one as far as where drivers are going for the overtakes, trying to get to that outside line, and it's caused a couple drivers to get pushed into the snowbanks. But overall, they're keeping it as clean as they can as they skate across this ice, and it's all about carrying that momentum. So we'll see. We got plenty of laps left for them to be patient and find their opportunities as Moose goes around the outside on this little kink, gets back up into third.
Jake with that bad mistake, unfortunately, lost him some speed there, and Moose was able to take advantage there. And it does show you one little mistake can cause problems and can lose you positions. And certainly, as I always allude to, fine margins. Certainly fine margins there for VTX Jake, and he's going to have to do it all over again if he is to grab one of them podium positions. But yeah, Moose up into P3 and then looking to fight back to Salamander, who I think they're very, very close actually. They looked almost side by side as they went into that corner there. But certainly do not rule out VTX Jake. This is such a hard one to call. I will say though, all the battling between the three drivers has meant that Scar has been able to pull away from the three drivers. So You know, if Scar can keep it together and not make any mistakes, then maybe he's in prime position to get the race win. But looking on board with Jake there, got very close to the side of Moose with the sideways action going through the turn there. But at the moment, Salamander in the prime position to hold off Moose and Jake. We'll see what happens in the final 4 laps of this race here at Lake Louise.
This is who had a 3-way shootout for the podium on their bingo card for this evening? Because I sure didn't. What about you, TKs?
No, I thought there was going to be a little bit closer for the lead, but this 3-way battle with one driver not going to be able to make it on the podium it's a great way to watch some racing as they continue to battle down and as the laps get closer and closer to the end.
Yeah, I agree completely, and it's really going to come down to who's got the better lap time or even the better pace. It's hard telling at this rate. There's just over 3 laps left, and it's anybody's race at this point, because whenever one person thinks they've got it, the others try and snap them back to reality. How about you, Flawed?
Yeah, I mean, it's a very, very difficult one to call here. I was looking aboard there with Moose. He got very close to the back of Salamander there. He tried to take a kind of like a diagonal line out of the corners, to sort of initially going down the inside and then sort of diagonally going towards the outside line. And it did actually gain him a little bit of time through that turn. So more of that from Moose, really, and perhaps Salamander will... well, maybe cave to the pressure, but so far so good for Salamander as he's in P2 and has extended that gap to Moose to just about a second. Moose is going to have to be wary because Jake is still there in the background and, you know, he can't rest on his laurels at all. But this is probably the biggest gaps we've seen for the top 4 all race. It's been pretty... relentless from lap 1 till now, but VTX Scar currently has a 3.94 second lead over Salamander and looking rather comfortable, it seems. Almost like a Sunday drive for him through the snow. But yeah, certainly if he just keeps to his driving lines and no mistakes, then I think that could be race win and job done for VTX Scar. And that does answer my question earlier in the broadcast about what the VTX drivers could bring to the table. Well, there's your answer there. VTX absolutely cruising home at the moment. What's your thoughts, guys?
Well, VTX Scar does have a very dominant showing, but I'd be remiss if we glossed over the fact that PHG Salamander is currently sitting with the fastest lap at a 148.019. So even with all of that lead, I'm not sure if Scott's going to be able to maintain it, because even though they are battling, that gap is slowly getting smaller. They're now within 4 seconds of one another. Sal has the fastest lap. I don't think anybody has a moment to breathe for even a split second in this race, including P6, because it's just all over the place for everybody. What about you, TKs? Do you think anybody will actually have some breathing room?
I think we're going to see, and I think we saw it this last lap, the drivers kind of settling down and realizing that Ska was pulling away as much as he was, and if they can just be patient and not fight and just take the quickest line, I think we'll see them slowly close that gap, and then it's going to be an all-out battle for first in the final lap.
Yeah,
agreed.
I was just looking at Jezza there, and it looked like he was closing the gap on Chief Apollo. Just hit the wall on the final part of the exit, and he's just dropped back a little bit further, but certainly still very close stuff as we look back on board with P2 and 3. And there's Moose. Moose has caught back up with Salamander. So clearly Salamander made a mistake somewhere, and Salamander on the inside. We know that's normally the slower line. Moose just flashing his lights there. I'm not sure on purpose or not there, but it did look like Moose was in a good position there, but Salamander taking the good line out of the exit of that hairpin, and confirms his P2 for now. But Moose, well, if he's going to make any moves, he's going to have to make it soon because we have got 1 lap left after this one.
And Flood, speaking of 1 lap left, I want to just throw out, I've been keeping an eye on Chief Apollo and Jezza. They've been going too wide through a lot of these corners. They are less than a tenth apart right now. They're side by side right now. Oh my lord, yeah, it's nonstop battles. Who would have thought we would have had all of this action in just a couple days worth of racing?
Can we have a look on board with them?
Let's take a look.
There we go.
They are hot on each other's tails, and as you can see from this, they are not giving each other any chances to move. It's too wide. We're seeing shades of a lot of the battles we saw last night in the Friday Division A racing, and it's really great to see how much everybody is giving into this. What about you, Flood?
Yeah, fantastic. I've hosted races like this before in the past, and it was an absolute mess. I have to say, barely any contact on corners that you don't really have too much grip on, let's be honest. So, it's a testament to the drivers here in the McNulty Racing League, and massive credit to him as Jezza looks to take an opportunity to get past Chief Apollo. I don't think he's going to quite make it work at the moment, but certainly very, very close. And also as well, we do need to have a look at the battle for the lead as well, because Scar does look like he's in prime position to take the win, but Salamander not too far in front of Moose. I can see that on the timing boards that Jake has fallen a bit further behind, so we'll see if Moose can take his opportunity to grab the second step on the podium very, very shortly. But I've got to say, fantastic drive to VTX Scar as they come around, I think the final corner, is it next?
Yes.
Yes.
He's coming around the final corner as we speak, onto the start-finish straight, and doing it in magnificent fashion, keeping that gap around the 3 second, almost 4. It's still a close race no matter how you shake it.
And congratulations to VTX Scar for the race win here at Lake Louise. And P2 goes to Salamander finally, with P3 closely behind is Moose. VTX Jake gets P4 there ahead of Chief Apollo, who is just in front of Jezza as we come around the final corner. It does look like Chief Apollo is going to finish in front of Jezza. So congratulations to Chief Apollo for P5 and a P6 for Jezza. Well done to him too. With Spawn, as alluded to, having a little bit of a lonely race at the back of the grid. He will still get good points for P7, and fair play to him for sticking at it as well. Can't be a lot of fun for him, but well done to all the drivers, and well done to Spawn, who just about comes across the start-finish line now to claim P7. Fantastic racing, guys. I have to say, in the circumstances, just really, really good watch and really good to see.
Excellent stuff. Excellent.
Without a doubt, this was an intense race from start to finish. It was battling left and right. Everybody gave it their all, and it's refreshing to see, honestly. TKs, what are your key takeaways from this race?
Just how close it was. I mean, it really was just a tight battle the entire race. There was never really any time where they all got spread out. So it was lap after lap trying to hold your line. And if you look at these driver ratings, I mean, 4 A+ drivers, 2 A's, or 2 A's and a B. So you kind of expect that racing coming from these caliber drivers.
Yeah, definitely. 100% agree with you there, guys. And just to give you the classified results from Division A Heat 2. So congratulations to VTX Scar for the race win there. Quite comfortable in the end for him, but certainly showed his pedigree out there with PHG Salamander finishing in P2, just holding off Moose, who claimed P3 and the fastest lap as well, 1 minute 48.011, actually 1,000th quicker than Salamander. Close all round there with VTX Jake finishing in P4, Chief Apollo in P5, Jezza in P6, and Spawn in P7.
That was a absolutely insane race. I'm sure there's a highlight reel for every single race throughout this weekend. But speaking of this race, it's time we move on over to our interviews, and we will start with our P3 recipient, Moose21. Moose, how are you feeling right now, sir?
I'm doing good. How are you guys?
We're doing great. We are blown away by the racing we've seen. So you were in a very heated battle with Salamander pretty much from start to finish, and you were able to snag yourself a fastest lap for your troubles. How what was going through your mind when you were having all of that back and forth with Salamander in the fight for P2? And what were your thoughts when Jake caught up and started throwing his hat into the arena?
Yeah, I mean, I knew I had good pace. I just didn't want to lose a bunch of time fighting, so I just kind of paced myself. I seen his headlights coming behind me, so that's when I started trying to make a move on Salamander, and it was a good race in the end. There was a couple back and forths we had that was, it was pretty good racing though.
Well, glad to hear it. It was a sight to behold for all of us here in the booth and those that are watching here on YouTube. Fla, do you have any questions?
I certainly do. Congratulations, Moose, on that P3. Didn't think you had it in you to, where did that come from? I've never seen you drive around the snow tracks before. Where did that come from?
Yeah, I mean, it's not one of my favorite tracks. I probably did about one race of practice each day for the last week, and after watching Split One, I was pretty confident in my pace. I think the fastest lap there was like a 1:49.1. So, we were running 1:48s throughout most of the race. So I knew the pace was there, but I didn't know everybody else was that fast.
Well, knowing you, Moose, you probably would have been a bit disappointed that you didn't get P2 in the end.
Yeah, absolutely. I wanted P2. Like I said, I know I got into Salamander one time. I kind of gave the spot back, but it was a close race between me and him the entire race, and I enjoyed it.
Yeah, certainly. I thought, I've got to commend you actually, because I thought that was absolutely fantastic from you, and certainly got us out of our chairs and excited throughout the whole race. So congratulations on that P3, Moose. And TCase, have you got any questions?
Yeah, I just want to know how surprised you were to see that, you knew you had the pace, and after watching the first split, how surprised were you that everybody else around you had very similar pace?
Yeah, I mean, I set a 1:48.5 in just to practice, and I was feeling good. And then next time I looked at the leaderboard, I was actually fourth. So I was pretty surprised when I seen that.
Yeah, it was some great racing. You kept us entertained. Congratulations, man.
Appreciate it,
Yes.
and thank you guys for everything that you do. We everybody here racing and everybody on YouTube. I know everybody enjoys the comms just as much as the racing. So thank you guys.
Thank
It's
you.
our
We
pleasure.
appreciate you,
Thank you for
Moose.
the kind words. Congratulations for P3. And we hope you're excited to see what you'll be up against going into next week after it is revealed. You go relax, enjoy your stream, and we will see you in the next race.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, I'm probably not looking forward to the next race already. The way things have been going.
Fair enough. All right, moving our way up the order, we will now be speaking with our P2 recipient. Very hard fought P2 recipient, might I add. PHG's own Salamander MN. Sal, how are you feeling after such an arduous race?
Heyo. Hi guys. I am exhausted. That was That was a really hard race. I first congrats to both Moose and Ska for podium. I need to apologize to Moose. I know I think I got him in the wall at one point. That was not intentional. I thought I'd left the room out there and the truck just kept sliding and yeah, I don't know what to say about that. I hated to see that happen, but all in all, I mean the battling was great.
Oh yeah, the battling was terrific. So we saw you taking kind of a more even flow racing line, starting with some outside, moving on into the inside, and then setting yourself up to take another outside line to carry the momentum. Was that one of like the key areas you had to focus on in practice in the days leading up to this race?
Yeah, this track is all about flow and setup. That you really need to set up your turn way sooner than you do on an asphalt track. So, and then in those high banked sections where you can really kind of run up it and then run back down and get you some more speed on the exit. So practice that quite a bit. I mean, I tried lots of different lines throughout the week, and I've switched it up a couple times during the race, but a lot went into it. It was fun.
It was also very, very fun for us to see. Flaw, do you have any questions?
Yes, I certainly do. Salamander, congratulations on that P2. You certainly had us on the edge of our seats with that battle. Well, it was a four-way battle, wasn't it? Let's be honest, for the race lead. So how can I put it? How confident was you before the race in, finishing as high up as possible? Because I certainly said to Moose that. I didn't see that coming from him, to be honest, on a circuit like that. So, have you had previous experiences before on that snow track, or, yeah?
I mean, with the snow track, I think there was a time trial once that I put a lot of time into, and to be honest, I was kind of excited for this one, knowing that Friday's races got dirt. I was afraid we were going to get dirt, and when we got snow, I'm like, okay, I'm a bit more comfortable with that, and when I started getting my pace down, I was actually pretty confident. And just like Moose said, we saw the first split, and I was like, "Oh, I got this," and didn't realize, just like he said, that we got four of us running 148th in qualifying. So, or throughout the race, it was a lot of pace. I mean, that was a fast split. It was fun. We kept up with Ska for the first like half or so, and then once me and Moose really started getting into it, he was able to just run away. And I mean, congrats to him. He had some great pace. I mean, I think I had 2 or 3 laps in that race that were faster than anything I've done in practice. So definitely got in the zone.
Do you think you would have caught up with Scar if he didn't battle so hard with Moose early on?
I don't know. I think I would have been able to keep up with him, but getting around him, I'm not sure if I would have been able to do it. I would have liked to have had the chance, but man, he's quick.
Yeah, you all were very, very quick, and as I said, it was fantastic to watch. So congratulations on that P2. T. Casey, you got any questions?
Yeah, I do. Congratulations on the P2, and I mean you were just barely nipped by the for the fastest lap. So great job out there. I am curious, how aware were you of Jake being right behind you as you battled so hard with Moose? Jake was right there, ready to pounce. Were you aware of him, or were you just focused solely on Moose?
Oh yeah, I saw him coming too. I mean, it was kind of a 3-way battle there to start with, and then Jake caught up to all of us, and I was like, oh boy. To be honest, I was kind of hoping that Jake and Moose were going to have a battle, and I was going to be able to run away, but it didn't quite turn out that way. But I was well aware he was there.
Okay, very cool, very cool. Well, you guys had a great race, and congratulations on P2, man. That was awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes, congratulations indeed. Enjoy yourself some relaxation time before getting into practice for next week's series of events. And we will see what you have in store for us come race day next Saturday.
All right, thank you guys, and good job on the commentary as always. You guys are doing a good job.
Thank
Have a
you,
good one.
sir.
Thank you, sir.
Now making our way up to the top of the podium, our race winner, Vertex Racing's Ska. Ska, how are you feeling, sir?
Pretty good, honestly, surprisingly.
So
I
you were embroiled in a heated battle for P1 with Salamander and Moose for a good portion of the race. What were your thoughts going into that, and how did you feel after you had bought yourself at least a little bit of breathing room from all of the battling taking place behind you?
Well, yeah, I think all of us watched the first race and thought, oh yeah, we got this, because yeah, they're running about mid 49s, and yeah, I jumped on before and I think I had like an optimal of like a mid 47, so I was thinking, okay, this should be easy, but then everyone comes in here with like really good pace, so yeah, I was on my toes for the first half of the race. I was struggling up the hill a bit through that little kink. I couldn't get the run out of there, and Salamander was catching me every lap through there. So I was watching the gap come down, and then through the mid sector, I'd gap him a bit, and he'd catch me back down the hill. So the whole time, just trying to keep that gap and just sort of keeping an eye on and making sure I'm not leaving up too much track on the table there.
Oh yeah, and if my knowledge of time zones is correct, it's approaching the wee hours of the morning for you right now.
It's
So
not too bad for me actually. It's 10 a.m. now, but for Jake, I think it's like he got up at like 3 a.m. So for him, he's yeah,
my
he
word.
almost missed it. So he doesn't wake up very well. So I mean, he'll probably blame that on his fourth place.
Fair enough. I was seeing rumors, and before I kick it over to Flawed for his series of questions, I was seeing from Chippy that was actually Jake's first race on the wheel. Is that true?
Not for a while. He due to his situation, he's not always able to have the wheel set up. But I think he was on the controller for that one. But he was practicing with both. But he's been mostly on controller lately. Just yeah. But yeah.
Wow, my word. Flawed, over to you.
Thank you, Tone. Scar, congratulations on the race win there. Never
Thank
in
you.
doubt, right?
Yeah, as wide as this track is, it's actually kind of only like a one groove for most of it. So yeah, passing's the hard part. Being as fast as someone is pretty straightforward, but just you can't pass in turn one. You can't really pass up the hill unless you get like a good crossover. It's such a complex track to drive. So yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say because it seemed like the outside line, the sort of high line against the banking, seemed like the fastest way to get around the circuit. So basically, if you kind of stuck to that line, then you was like quite confident that you could hold off the drivers behind you.
Yeah, especially in turn one, because that's where you get the big enough run to actually make a move. But yeah, the slide job, you just can't get enough momentum to get in front of someone without sandwiching them on the wall. So as long as you keep your line right on the outside, you're pretty safe up in the first corner. And same with the double left-hander as well. Staying up nice and high, good exit speed, no one can catch you down the straight.
Yeah, I mean, definitely credit to you. It seemed like you didn't make any mistakes out there and kept to your lines and rightfully got that P1. So congratulations to you on that one. And TK, have you got a question?
Yeah, I'm just curious how much practice time you put in for this race, and if you did it solo or you did it with a bunch of other people in the Naughty League.
Just a few of us Vertex boys, but actually not that much. I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to make this race, actually. It was sort of up in the air until about last night. So I put an hour or so in last night and maybe half an hour this morning.
Wow.
And yeah, I'm not very good at snow either, which is surprising. This is a big shock to me. I struggle at rally on this game. I'm awful at rally, but snow's a bit better, but so slow cars help. Slow cars help me. Anything fast, I hit every wall. So.
Well, now you got a nice snow race victory under your belt. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I was going to say, probably in real life, you've probably not seen snow, have you?
No, I have. I live up north in New Zealand, but no, we get plenty of snow down south. I've been snowboarding and skiing down in the mountains plenty of times and in the backyard and that. It just depends where you live in New Zealand.
Fair enough. Well, then, yeah, maybe that would have come into play then for tonight, maybe.
Maybe. Hopefully.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations. Before we let you go, I'm curious. Is there anything you would have done differently or would have achieved if this were just a lap or two longer?
Oh, I was trying to get that fastest lap because I knew I could do a 47. I've been close to them all when I was practicing this morning, but the consistency it was there, but just the optimal pace, I just couldn't get it out. I think my optimal was basically what Moose did, pretty much. I think it was like a 0.004, so like basically identical. So it's very hard to hit your optimal, so I don't think I do that. But yeah, that was my only thing. Everything else actually went. I was surprised to get pole, and I was pretty happy knowing I could lead from the start, and it just all sort of came in nicely. I was worried I'd mess it up on the first lap, but it all it all worked out all right.
It sure did. Congratulations for a hard-fought victory, and congratulations on hopefully a victory that will change your tune a little bit about the rallying in this game. You go and relax, and we'll have those race details for what you're up against next week coming very soon.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Thanks for the commentary. Wicked job.
Thank you.
Thank you, Scar.
Alrighty, everybody, we're going to take one last interlude to get all of these results tabulated and looking nice and fancy for all of you. And when we come back, we'll go over the provisional standings for Division A, and we'll get into the nitty-gritty of what the drivers will be going up against for round 3. Stay tuned. Welcome back, everybody. It's been a very, very intense race weekend. I would also like to thank J-Dog for the $10 super chat earlier on. And he also became an all-star tier member to the channel. Thank you so much on behalf of all of us in the Naughty Racing League. Now it's time to take a look over at the provisional classified results for our Division A race that happened this afternoon. Moving on over, we can see that in the lead right now is Salamander MN with 45 points. GLK Sneaky and Mullet tied for P2. That's going to be a dead heat moving forward. And then we have Chief Apollo in P4, MMR Moose 21 in P5, Jezer and VTX Ska in a tie for P6. We also have a tie for P8 with S7R Slipstream and three-way tie with S7R Slipstream, Spawn, and MD Hop 2. This is shaping up to be an amazing season, folks. We have VTX Jake in P11 and another three-way tie between Hitty, Arrow, and Island Grown 777 for P12, with Shadow Chef sitting at a comfy P15 at the moment. And this was the last of the non-elimination races for Division A. And speaking of the elimination races, let's go take a look and see with what our drivers in Division B and A will be going up against. Over to you, Flawed.
Thank you, too. Yep, certainly at the moment we've all been waiting for the races for next week in the Saturday heats, that is. And this is for Division B, so it's going to be at Alsace Village Reverse, 12 laps around there in the DMC DeLorean. Back to the Future, of course. That looks absolutely promising with the qualifying settings. Well, it's actually going to be a 10-minute qualifying setting before a 12-lap race. It's going to be a rolling start with BOP on. Brake balance is allowed. Mechanical damage is on light. Tire wear is times 10 on racing hard tires with a fuel consumption rate of times 5. What do you reckon, guys? This looks very, very interesting.
Yeah, this is going to be a very tricky race. I thought the Friday division with Willow Springs in the Mazda RX-7 tuned by RE Amamiya was going to be a tricky one. But I never see this DeLorean used. I never see Alsace Village Reverse used. So this is completely out of left field, and I don't think anybody could have suspected this to be the race. What about you, TK?
Yeah, this is going to be really tricky. This is a big, heavy car. This track has a lot of tight, twisty turns, a lot of elevation changes, a lot of banking. And then this isn't a race car, and they're going to be on racing hard tires. So it's going to be interesting to see how the race tires work with this big, heavy car.
Well, just responding to chat, hopefully the drivers will not be exceeding 88 miles an hour and disappear off track. But yeah, certainly looking forward to this one. This is promising to be a fantastic race in Division B for Saturday. And then we'll be moving on to Division A, and I'm sure they're going to be licking their lips on this one, as we are at Tokyo Expressway South counterclockwise in the Pagani Zonda R 2009 road car. It's going to be 15 laps around this circuit with a 10-minute qualifying beforehand. There is going to be a grid start with a full start check on. BOP is going to be on. Brake balance is also allowed in this one. They're going to have to be very careful though with the barriers because the mechanical damage is set to heavy, and a times 16 tire wear on their racing hard tires, times 2 on the consumption. So yeah, certainly this is going to be a very, very tricky race for the drivers. You know, not only is the car very, very fast in a straight line, but certainly may not have the downfalls for the for this circuit. But what do you think, guys? What's your thoughts? So,
well, looking over at chat, some of the Saturday division drivers are not happy. I'm seeing no's all over the place. but I have been told by a very, very reliable source, it's not as bad as you guys think. This car handles very nicely. Brake balance being allowed is going to be a huge benefit. So this is going to shape up to be a very, very good first elimination race. Everybody's going to want to put in a lot of practice for this upcoming race, lest they don't make the cut for the semifinals. What about you, TK?
Yeah, practice is going to be key on this one. With heavy damage on, you can't be making contact with the wall or other drivers, and a lot of this track is single file. You're not really able to get through some of the twists side by side, so it's going to be all about practicing and figuring out where your overtaking opportunities are beforehand, so you can, wait patiently, use some slipstream, and then make your move.
It does seem like quite a few in chat are not happy about the circuit. One in particular, Moose, as I hosted my own tournament with this circuit, this exact circuit as well, and I know he wasn't happy about that, so unlucky Moose. And also Salamander is not feeling too confident either, but yes, this is the evil genius of McNulty, and certainly is definitely going to put on a great race for Division A. So yeah, don't miss out on next week's races. So come for round 3, Friday the 9th of February at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. And that'll be featuring yourself, Toon, and Leo and Slow-Mo on the comms. Is that right?
Yes, sir. That is correct. It'll be me, Slow-Mo, and Leo covering the first elimination round for Division A for Friday. And then, if memory serves me right, next Saturday on the 10th of February at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, 6 p.m. GMT Britain, it will be you, Rob G, who will be a new face in the commentary booth, and T-Case covering all the racing action coming in for Saturday's first elimination for Division A, and the ever so entertaining DeLorean race around Allstate's Village Reverse. I think we'll be seeing a lot of Back to the Future liveries for that. But yeah, this is going to be a very exciting and very heart-pumping race for everybody involved. Us up here in the commentary booth, not excluded from that.
It's also worth mentioning as well, Rob G, good friend of mine, absolute legendary commentator. You absolutely love him, guys. And also, I've got to say a happy birthday to him as well, because it's his birthday today. So if Rob is in chat, happy birthday, mate. Hopefully you're having a fantastic day. But yeah, certainly can't wait for next week. It's going to be an absolute blast, and bring it on.
Yep, happy birthday indeed to Rob G. It's an honor to have someone of your high esteem in this league, and we can't wait to see what the future has in store for you with us here in the Naughty Racing League. But with that being said, it is time for us to unfortunately bring this broadcast to a close. It has been an absolute honor to have your company. Thank you all for choosing to spend your free time watching us. Thank you all so much to our world-class drivers for the intense racing that they gave us on both days. So until next week, I have been Toon. You can find me on YouTube and Twitch, where I stream a variety of content. You can find Flawed on Twitch at Flawed Genius Gaming, where he streams Gran Turismo, hosts lobbies, and it's an all-around great time. It is an honor to have him a part of this league. You can also find our very, very lovely seasoned veteran T-Case here on YouTube, where he streams lobbies and also daily race action from multiple accounts of Gran Turismo, and it's always a pleasure to be working with him. So until next week, stay safe, drivers, get to practicing, and we will see you all for the first elimination round for Division A starting next Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern. Bye-bye for now.